3.
I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Right. Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Take it away.
Welcome everybody to Dr. T's Greenthumb Diaries, Conversation with Cannabis Growers. I'm here with Chad Westport. For you guys out there who don't know who he is, I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hey everybody, thank you for having me on. And I just want to start by saying that intro clip is one of my top 10 clips of all time. I remember the day it happened and the fear it caused. That's hilarious. But yeah, I'm Chad Westport, cannabis grower, and I like to say educator because that's really kind of one of my missions out here. The plant has been good to me over my course of my life, and I know it's good for others. So I want to see people grow and I want to see people succeed. So that's kind of what I do.
All right. I also, I guess we were just having a conversation about what we would do if we could, if we would hit the lottery and go across the world. I've seen that you, in your past, that you've been to like Amsterdam. I was watching a couple of your videos that you've been to Amsterdam and did it. How did you like it over there?
I enjoyed it. Like Amsterdam, from like a cannabis perspective, it was kind of fun. It wasn't really anything over the top, especially with, states coming online now. You can have all kinds of, great quality and experiences here. But as someone who, was like a young teen and that was the only place in the world, it was like they smoke, they have cafes where you can go and order. It was always like one of those trips. So from a cannabis perspective, it like fulfills lifelong dreams of being able to smoke there. The city itself is amazing. I don't travel anywhere there's not cannabis, but if there wasn't cannabis, I would still highly consider it. The city is great, the people are good, and the country itself, because we'll leave outside of Amsterdam. It's a wonderful place to visit. It draws us there every year.
Oh, that's great. We can get into it. When did you get started in the cannabis industry, and where was there a specific or experience that made you decide to get into and ultimately staying in the cannabis industry, both professionally and as a home grower?
Yeah, I've been around cannabis since I was a young teen, and that's just the people I was with, not a family thing. It was just the people I was with. In the Pacific Northwest, there were a lot of great growers, so I never really had to do that myself. But it was when the medical system in Washington really started to kick in 2011 is when I decided to do my thing with a license and provide my own medicine that way. And that transitioned, to the actual industry, as we call it now. Before medical transitioned to recreational in Washington State, I started a small business that completely failed. It was called the Seniors MMJ Network. And the whole point of that was to educate seniors, because they're the most indoctrinated with the whole reefer madness, like the lies. That's just what they know. That's what they heard. That's what they know. But they're also a group. Yeah, exactly. And then it's, and if you don't know people who smoke pot, well, then that's just what you think, which is wrong. But hey, that's how it goes. So they can also really benefit from it because there's a lot of, in my opinion, benefits that it can offer to people in that age group. And so I just wanted to try to break that stigma and like educate. And like I said, failed miserably. And then recreational, when that came around, I had been working in this. So when recreational came around and I've entered working for somebody else in the industry, audio engineer by trade, long story short, the business sold. And because I'm so specialized in my knowledge, they arranged for everybody to go get retrained. Cannabis had just become legal, recreational in Washington. So I said, I'm going to go do a sustainable agriculture program. So I did that for a couple years and then got a job at the largest indoor facility in our state. And that was really my intro to the industry. I left there after a few harvests, help them get that thing going. Commercial in the largest facility is not my style. And then I worked in a retail for a while as well. So those were my professional industry jobs.
Okay. Well, you just gave me a whole brief journey through how you got into be a cannabis grower. But what inspired you what inspired you to pursue a career in cannabis cultivation? What inspired you? Like, when did you really like fall in love with the plant?
Right. When I realized the way that it has helped me throughout, like just kind of like growing up, like nowadays, we do, there's, for like 20 years, I had pains and we did all kinds of things. Nobody had a name, nothing. Oddly enough, it was the cannabis doctor renewing my license for the third year that, oh, boom, 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 here we go. There's a name. Don't know what it is. But, I would always say I started out like recreationally and then like social anxiety types of things. Like it kind of helped me in a way that I think it can help many others. It helped me reflect on things. It helps like calm my nerves, help calm my stomach. And I just kind of had that epiphany of like, if it can help me, I know it can help others. And I've seen other people, even then, who, undoubtedly benefit from it. And now that it's so talked about and not as like
Taboo,
passe or what, yes, yeah, taboo. We see stories like Charlotte Figge, like the little girl who had just uncontrollable seizures, and there's dozens and hundreds of those stories. And I always joke, I'm like, if you look at that and still say cannabis is bad, you're just an asshole. Like there's no other excuse. So
yeah.
it was when it clicked in my head that it had potential to help people, not only myself but others, that I became really passionate.
Okay. I hear you talking about passionate. Like I can remember when I first started smoking, and it was like me smoking it on recreationally, and it wasn't for me to get high like that. It was more of a mood elevator, so I can go a mood. Mood elevator. So like I can go to work without being stressful. I can take this test without because I had a bad ADHD, dyslexia, and it would just help me function in that fashion. And when you say that, when you realize that it can help others, same way with me. I used to make edibles, and I remember I had this one lady. She came to me, and this is why I'm really really passionate about the plant and the quality. She came to me and she asked for some gummies. She had lupus, and the day that she got her gummies and she ate them and she took them, she said that was the first day in 20 years that she
Wow.
was able to get up and do things without feeling pain. And
Wow.
that day was like really one of the days that actually turned me around into cannabis, like onto it's not just for the smoke. It's more than just smoking and getting high or for that euphoric feeling. It's more for a lot of business, a lot of things. It's for medical reasons. People meds. This is your meds. You know what I'm saying? So when I be preaching and I go out and I try to help people also, um, I'm trying to get you the best medicine you can, and utilizing your space as much as possible, because you don't want to be spending thousands of dollars on equipment and not being able to you still have to go out and go buy your own meds, still go purchase your own meds when you can be self-sufficient. So the whole thing is about being self-sufficient and also having the best meds possible.
I agree 100%. And that's such a powerful thing, that moment where you're just like, I positively affected this person's life and I can help them. And like, I mean, it may sound corny or whatever, but to get that opportunity a couple times in anybody's life to be like, that's pretty powerful. It's like I put a smile on a person's face who hasn't smiled for 20 years. That's okay. Don't tell me this plant sucks.
Yeah, you can't tell me that it's something bad. It's not a bad thing. It's grown in nature. It's found in nature. It wasn't created. It wasn't just made in the lab. It was there. It so happens that you set it on fire and it helps people.
Yep. And that's something you just said there. It makes me think of one of the arguments I use with people who don't like cannabis or aren't for cannabis. Because of cannabis and trying to figure out where it interacts in our body and where it works, we've found different pathways. Now, those pathways can be exploited with cannabis or pharmaceuticals, and pharmaceutical companies have been able to use that cannabis-specific research to make their product, and if that's somebody's choice, they can improve it. And for that person, if they want their pills, we could argue all day about that, but okay, say that they'll take them, but you have cannabis to thank. So don't be so bad against it, because we're learning a lot about cannabis. We've scratched the surface. We know like this much how it helps, or maybe it hurts sometimes too. I'm sure we'll find out something like that, but we just don't know yet.
Exactly. Still, I mean, they haven't done enough research and medically and scientifically on the plant because it was scheduled at a certain schedule. But talking about that, what do you think about them rescheduling it? Because you were talking about they can get the pills, but if they reschedule it and make it as medicine, do you think that they're going to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? You're gonna be able to grow it as a home grower, your own medicine, because they're gonna be regulated. They don't let you just make your own aspirin at home. They don't allow you to just formulate your own stuff at home. So what do you think about when it comes down to rescheduling it, or do you just completely decriminalize it all across the board?
I'm for the decriminalizing, just because, like you're saying here, rescheduling comes with a whole bunch of strings attached. And what does that really mean for state systems, for, the home grower? Because you're right, you can't make your own aspirin at home. And even if you could, they'll say, okay, well, we'll let you grow, but you have to meet these quality standards of environment and HEPA filters and, water purification and all this stuff, which is unattainable for, all of us. So that's, that is dangerous. I would rather see it just decriminalized and, regulate it like, the alcohol industry, if you have to. That's the one that seems to be pointed to a lot. And in reality, I am for regulation, because I don't want pesticides, like harsh pesticides and heavy metals and stuff. I do believe stuff should be tested. So, then again, when you do it at home, you do it right, you know what goes into it, so you don't have to worry about a lot of that. But commercially, I wouldn't mind some oversight.
Oh yeah, I understand the commercial part, but I'm thinking as in like us as home, like a lot of us, especially the people in the community, we're all home growers. We are all on a small scale. And we already have a lot of regulation already put down on this. We're only allowed to have this many plants. Yes, it's only for us only. But then some places you can only have a certain amount of flower in your house. You're only allowed to have a certain amount of cannabis. You're only allowed it. So it's kind of hard to say, like, when they reschedule it, that they're gonna really allow. They already put that again. They already got a foot on our necks. Really, like they can. It's nothing for them to say, you know what, everything that comes in before you harvest, you have to get it tested, or so on and so forth. And you only allowed a certain amount of tags. It's going to be, I just feel like it's going to be something like that.
It is. It's going to be, there's going to be barriers, and it's going to suck, and there's going to be like things that you have to follow. I mean, one, you have to have an enforcement mechanism. Like, sure, you can just randomly pop in on people, but you have like one person for the state. So that sucks because you can pretty much do it, but there's still that lingering what if I'm that one over your head, which is what we've tried to get away from with legalization. And they're shooting themselves in the foot, and they don't realize that when it comes to home growers. I think, because I'm all about the home grower. I'm disappointed to see that a lot of the education and focus has shifted to larger things now that they can. Home growers are forgotten about, but it's the home growers really that are finding these unique strains, that are really passionate about the plant, that are sharing different things, spreading different things. We're like the heartbeat of the industry, and they're trying to kill the heartbeat.
Yeah, I feel like that too. Just like with these big what do you want to call it? The big cannabis industry, or you want to call it big ag? Yeah, they are trying to completely just shut us down so we can just be dependent on them. When actually we are the ones that are still the ones that's still purchasing through these big companies, like, or these big name brands, I should say. But we was purchasing for our own growth through like seeds, clones, and so on and so forth. And then we make our own crosses, if that. So how everybody started a cross, and I'm gonna say that anybody that's breeding has started a cross from somebody else's growth.
Oh yeah,
Somebody else growing a coat. So regardless how it goes, when you start to see these we are making Runts a big name. We are making these other companies a big name because we're taking those and doing crosses with them. So their name gets to be pushed out further and further and further. And I think that when you say we are the heartbeat and they trying to shut us down, I don't think that's right.
Yeah, it's short-sighted by them. But again, I think the home grower, and now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, as they say, you can't put it back in, man. I mean, even if it goes back to being not okay, which would blow my mind, but even if that's the case, there's going to be 1,000 times more people that still do it than did it before they got the thing in the beginning. Yeah, farmers markets. I wish we could have something like that. I'm in Washington State. 2012 we legalized. So 11 years later, unless you have a med card like myself, you still can't grow a single plant in this state. That's why. So we
have here in Michigan, it's wide open. This is like the freaking wild east of cannabis, and it's they're also legalizing. It's on the ballot for this year to legalize mushrooms or any psychedelic plants. I should say they're going to be legalizing. It's not just mushrooms; they put it in the whole
peyote and stuff.
Yeah, so hopefully that goes. But here, it's again, you have events. It's an event every weekend in the spring throughout the warmer months. It's every weekend you can go to a pop up here, a pop up there, or we have big events where it's 3-day weekends, a whole week, like Thanksgiving, not Thanksgiving, Halloween, New Year's, Christmas. There's always going to be something that. Have you ever heard of Rainbow Farms? It was a big Rainbow Farm. Yeah, so Rainbow Farms here in South Michigan, and they have the owner of the property actually reopened it up so that's what we do. This be over 2,000 vendors there. There's food, and it's like 3-day weekends when they do the events. I have badges, I have sponsor badges,
sounds fun.
Vendor badges. They're crazy, but yeah, man, it's really nice to have that type of, like how Crop said, we go to a farmer's market, but it's really as a vendor, you can walk around, there's food, it's infused everything. There's cannabis, there's edibles, there's, you name it. And that you're getting quality. I mean, because these people are spending, I've been there. I've been one of those people, and we spend a lot of money to try to bring good product to the table for customers. Everybody wants top notch, top shelf, but we try to make it affordable always. At the end of the day, we try to make it affordable. So growing at home for everybody else, I mean, just going out and having these events and stuff like that, you can meet a lot of people. And then also the people that's taboo to it, who's just going with a friend who doesn't really know, just want to see how it goes. That's the best way to bring somebody together, to see actually how it is. It's not a whole bunch of high sloppy people that you think. Then you start to see people dressed up, they lawyers, doctors, these people, and they just come by, hey, yeah, and that's what they need just for their own, I would say, they R&R at the work.
Yeah. So there's so many misconceptions, and I'm glad that they're falling down, but they still exist. And you could go to different areas. Like I'm in Washington State. I lived in Seattle for a long time. Unless I'm near a playground or a bunch of kids, I can smoke a joint anywhere, right? It's cool. The little town I'm in now, hell no. The cops are going to be there in like less than 5 minutes. So that's why I moved to vape pens when I go for my walks now. But that's just the thing. It's like, even though it's legal in my state, I still can't like safely medicate outside or on a beach. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
it's yeah. Hey, that's what happens when you get high and keep talking, right? You get stoned and keep talking. All right, so earlier go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that reminded me. Thank you. I don't want to be high and be the forgetful one. Yeah, no, when people do come to those events, they see that there are a lot of, just like what they would call quote unquote normal people. And it's not the misconceptions that they have. There's not like, wild like sex dens and like people like jumping motorbikes over flames or whatever. So it is. We've the people who don't smoke, because I went to a state that isn't legal recently and talked to a few people about it. It's just some of the education. We need to just keep educating and breaking down the stereotypes of it, because it's a lot of good people, man. A lot of good people. Yeah, dispensaries. What are the prices? Well, actually, maybe we don't talk on that on YouTube, but I don't know.
But I mean, from the dispensaries, they really are real low on the prices, because they can meet deals. But I think the fact that they can give you those prices, but the flower and the product that you're getting, 4 months old, 5 months old, by the time you get it on the shelf, by the time they get it from the packaging, you're not getting fresh product. It's not going to be the same as you got it if you're at home, you're doing your home cultivation, and you got your dry on point, you got your humid, you got your whole curing down, and then you can be able to smoke fresh flower. It's kind of hard for them to it's like he said, somebody else said it today. Oh, here you go. Once you grow your own, you look at dispo stuff like it's duty.
Yeah. Like he knows.
Yeah, so it's like the prices of cannabis here, it reflects on the cannabis. If you're getting it from the dispensary and you're paying $30 an ounce or whatever it may be, if you actually look at your flower, do you notice that you don't? I've noticed that, and I've always said that before. I've noticed sometimes I go to a dispensary, I've been to the dispensary, and they show you the flower, and I don't see no trichomes. It's been handled so many times and transferred from here to there, and then all of a sudden you barely see any trichomes but the outside cover is completely gone. You might find some on the inside, but everything on the outside is gone. It's not like your flower at home. Again,
definitely 100%. You can control how much that flower gets touched at home, and I always say hold it by the stem. But yeah, that's why homegrown and doing it yourself is always going to be the best.
Mm-hmm. Most regular people don't want to grow plants, and we'll go to the let me put it up. I thought I tapped it. Won't want to grow plants, and we'll go to the dispensary or from a home grower.
It's a commitment to grow a plant. You do have to dedicate the time is usually one thing. And I've known people that have grown and their first run wasn't good at all. They it's like they got an eighth out of it, for 3-4 months of their time, power, nutrients, soil, and all that stuff. And they're just like, it's easier and cheaper to go to the dispo. And for some people, it is. There's a lot of people, again, if you're using like medicinal levels, like you're making edibles or you're making, RSO, that gets so expensive really quickly. And a lot of times there's people who don't really have a choice. So yeah, that's another thing too. The flower in our state, there is the cheaper stuff like you mentioned. And yeah, it's, the lower end quality has gotten better as, the market has kind of sifted itself out, but it's still reflective of the price. But the only stuff that I see that I've had a few times that I would be like, yeah, I'd be happy to have saying I've grown that, or I would have it regularly, is priced so high that I've never in my life paid that much per gram. Like, why am I going to start now? So
Yeah, that's totally understandable. I would not want to do that. I've done that. I mean, that's what we preach here. I told you again, if you're spending all that money on your equipment, you don't want to waste that time on when you're growing. Like, you want to be able to get it right the first time if you can. I'm not saying that you're gonna always get it right the first time. I'm not saying it's your house plant. I'm just trying to get you to get the best medicine you can get for whatever equipment that you spent on, all down to the nutrients and so on and so forth. Talking about that, what style of growing do you specialize in?
So I kind of try to take like more of an organic, or sometimes it would be a synerganic approach. And that's just kind of like a combination of synthetic and organic. Just mash the two words together, you get synerganic. And usually in those instances, what I'll do is I'll start with like a super soil. So something that is amended with nutrients in it from like kelp or rock dust, kind of organic type ingredients. And then I'll let it get through most of veg with that. And then I may use a bottle nutrients, a synthetic nutrient, to get a little bit of power before the transition. And then I'll use top dressings. Lately, the two approaches that I've been doing is a water only soil. So that has everything natural, organic inside of it. Plant just draws what it needs. And then the other is an organic top dressing. So it's like a powder, put it on the surface, water it in, do that every couple of weeks. So, but that's how I feed these days.
Okay. I also, you say, so you feed like that. What do you think about hydro? Have you ever grown in hydro or cocoa and with the synthetics? And what do you see any difference in between organics and synthetics in hydro?
So I've grown in cocoa, which is a hydro because its soil is medium. I've not done the actual like hydro with the roots hanging down through the nets. I've done that for vegetables and like lettuce, but I've never done that with cannabis, only because for me, the margin of error is very thin because the roots are just straight in the water. And if you add too much nutrients, there's no buffer, straight to them, or too little, straight to them. But with cocoa and synthetic nutrients, I think it's great because it allows people to follow a program. And as long as you kind of follow that, and watering cocoa is much easier than watering soil, then you're able to, once you have that down, you're kind of able to focus on other things like how is the plant growing, or maybe this time I want to try plant training, because watering and feeding are two of the really important things to get down first. There's a lot of things, but those two things first, otherwise everything else will suffer. So yeah, it's good. I like the cocoa and synthetic approach as well for anybody really.
Oh, that's great to hear. Crop has a question. He says, how do you know when top dressing is available to when top dressing is available to the plants, and how do you get it to the plants at the right time?
So the first part, how do I know when to get it there, is through experience with the run. Because one thing about organic feeding is the nutrients that you put in, they're not immediately available to the plant. They're not in the right type of form. They have to be like eaten and ingested by the microbes and then pooped out. And that's what the plant takes. And that usually can take a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. So by running the same strains over and over, I know when they start to get hungry. And if I notice like 3rd week in flower, this one always gets a little bit yellow, then I know I need to feed it 3 weeks before a little bit heavier. And you only get that through doing it through experience. And that's where sometimes, again, the synganic can come in, because if you need like that quick rescue of nutrients, well, the synthetic is immediately plant available. And then what was the second part of the question there? I don't know if it's still up there.
He says,
oh, there we go. Okay. How do you get it to the plants at the right time? So yeah, again, is just kind of knowing, but also you got to think about 2 or 3 weeks ahead. So I'll start with that kind of super soil, and then I know during transition it'll need a lot more feed, so then I could top dress then, and then top dress as transition, because I'm thinking, okay, it's going to need that when it's really starting to grow. That'll be the boost. So thinking ahead and increasing the microbial activity in your soil. That's how to speed it up, because again, all that stuff, the organic stuff, needs to be eaten by the microbes and pooped out. If you have a small population, they'll eventually get through it. But if you have larger populations, they get through it faster, which makes it more plant available faster. So that's another way. If I know that I need to kind of speed it up, I just try to use some microbial products. I use Recharge. There's a lot out there, but yeah, Recharge is a good one.
Recharge, Great White.
Yep.
All Michael's. Also, well, here you go. I know Crop is one of those guys. He always comes up with these zingers because he wants to ask these questions. And these are the questions that most of the people are always asking. Would you recommend top dressing and living soil for new growers?
One, it depends. I'm going to assume this is indoors. And then 2 is you want to have a big enough size plot. Like 3 gallons is pushing it. If I were to be technical, I'd be like 7 to 10 is the smallest you should do it. I do it in less than that. So 5 or sometimes 3, you'll have to feed it more often. But that is, let's see. That is a question. We recommend top dressing soil for new growers. Yes, I actually would, because if you have the right program, just like a bottle nutrient, it says apply this much at this time. You can kind of follow that with the top dressing as well. If you know going into it that it takes a few weeks to really hit the roots, then yeah, it's totally possible. Another good thing about the organics versus like a synthetic is you're not going to burn your plant or, cause the soil to be too hot too quickly, whereas you could with synthetic. So yeah, you can, add a little bit more than you meant to, and it's still fine. The plant will just take what it needs when it needs. So yeah, new growers, great way to go.
Okay. I'm just looking to see if anybody else has questions, because some of these questions are very good. There's some of these questions I don't have. Also, I wanted to ask you about the company Twin Peaks. You would like to tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. So Twin Peaks is just kind of the seed company that I've been doing for a few years now. I've been making my own genetics since, we'll say 2011. But I recently reached a wider audience, really, and I'm able to help more people, because I've always given them out. I've always just made really small batches, because it's usually for myself, and it's usually for a few people that I meet, sick, whatnot, just want to grow some plants. But I think the flower, people have liked the flower, and so they've wanted more seeds, and then they've kind of told their friend, or the friend had the flower, and more people are starting to be like, hey man, where can I get this? Where can I get this? And that's kind of how it all came about. And I was like, okay, I should probably just like do something officially instead of just continuously. I always joke, I've got the masking tape labels, because that's usually how my seeds, it's just handwriting on some masking tape over a bag. But now I got pretty stickers and stuff.
We're gonna talk about, since we are in your talking about genetics. SOS is asking, what do you use when you breed, when you do breeding?
Yep. So primarily, I have used males and females to make regular seeds. I've recently done a reversal, so that's taking two females, blocking some hormones on one, gets male parts, pollinates the female, and that's the Westport's posse. But I've typically used the male female because when you get the males, that allows you to make more seeds if you want. And so some people that was really important to a lot of people back in the day, before feminizing was really popular and common. And a lot of people now want feminized because, again, they don't want to have to sex the males. They don't want to spend a month or two growing them out and then find out they're males. And for people who have like 4 plant count, gosh, that stinks if half of your anticipated crop turns out to be males, or even 3/4 of it. So that's where the feminizing is really starting to serve the market demands. But I think people interested in breeding still want those regular male female plants.
Hey, see, everybody in the chat talking about what are you gonna do? All right, so one person want to know where they can find your genetics.
I am sold out right now. I appreciate the question. So daga.garden is usually the place. I did a drop last year. I just did a drop in October. They're all sold out, but the Westport posse, I've already run 20 of them. I'm puffing it myself. I'm completely happy with it, but I still sent it out to 50 testers. I would say at least 40 of them are running them right now. So I'm just waiting for all of that to come back like A-okay. And then hopefully February, March, I'll have more those on the Daga.garden site. But I'll definitely announce it on my Instagram and YouTube when that happens. But thank you for asking.
So, yeah, somebody was, as I'm going through it, he said Chad Westport smoking some weed. All right. Get back to the, so you were saying talking about your company. How long have you been breeding your strains, and what strains do you have out, like that you have created yourself?
So again, 2011 is when I made like an intentional cross. It was a Jack's Cleaner 2 and an Agent Orange. Both of them are from Subcool or TGA Genetics, and I called it Agent Jack. I was like, oh, that's clever, and it was great. I want to sound like an ass, but I thought it was good, man. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I like advertised or talk to people about. Is just giving out, oh, you need seeds, okay, here, grow this. But the things that I really have done and have like had proper releases for, there is, gosh, a few. I'll just go with the ones that got pretty stickers. So Nakatomi Plaza is something that I did. That was a Westport grape juice, which is kind of like my staple strain. It was times a Sunday Funday, which is a sour tangy times mimosa. So Westport grape juice times that. The Nakatomi Plaza Chud, which I recently released, which is an incredibly bad 80s horror movie that I love. So I'm shameless when it comes to, I just rip stuff off. Like, why not? Nakatomi Plaza, Chud. The other one, it's called Twin Peaks, which it works with my name, but it's actually, this was a seed increase. There's a strain called Twin Peaks from a guy, Skunk VA, Lucky Dog Seed Co. on the East Coast, who is one of the accepted handful of people that actually has all of the real chems. Chem 91 being one of my favorites. That is part of his Twin Peaks. So when I got his Twin Peaks, male and female, I just pollinated them all because I wanted to go back through the genetics and see if I could find some that lean towards the Chem 91, and then I'll work with those. So the Twin Peaks seed increase, that name just happened to work out. And I always put that out there with the disclaimers like, hey, this isn't my work. This is Skunk VA. I just did a seed increase. And then there's another, the Chad. They get stupid names because I never intend to release them. Like the Nakatomi Plaza, I did, but Chud was just called Westport Grape Juice times Afghani #1 for months and months, all over a year actually. And then I just got tired of writing it out, and people kept asking for them. So I'm like, okay, I've got about like 40 packs left. I'll just put them up and sell them, and they sold out. But those are a few of them. And again, like the Chad didn't. I give away a lot of free beans on my bi-weekly live shows, and people just like them. They grow them out. They post pictures. Other people are like, where can I get them? And I'm like, well, I only give them away. So yeah, then they turned into something that gets sold. When I get low, I always sell them.
Well, it was good to know, because I have a friend, I have a buddy that's in the community. He's just recently, he said he loves the plaza, he loves the and he just ran the Chud. I think I'm not, if I'm not mistaken, he said he just ran the Chud. He's been running your stuff for a while, so it was great. That's why one of the questions that came from.
Awesome.
I think Cav Bar gave me a cross with the Westport grape juice that he made, but I don't have. But besides that, I was another one of the questions from last night, that from one of my live streams last night, was if you can have any 3 strains to make it to make your own crosses, what would they be?
I would instantly go for an Afghani #1, or like an Afghanica, because it has, usually they're short, bushier squatter plants, which I like because those go great in tents and places with low ceilings. They also tend to have quick flowering times. So that's another thing that I always look for. So that's like a good old genetic that doesn't bring a whole lot of flavor. It doesn't really pack on the trichomes by today's standard, but it's solid and it's a great piece to work with. So I would do that. Shamelessly, but honestly, I would put the Westport grape juice in there, because that thing for me checks all the boxes as far as it's short, it's bushy, it doesn't need much training. The lowers grow up to the uppers. There's not a lot of internodal spacing. They're very dense, chunky buds. Great trichome coverage, good flavor, good effects, and it's commercially viable because it puts out. There's a lot of things that are amazing smoke, but they're not commercially viable because they just don't produce. They get like little golf ball buds every 6 inches. So those are 2. And then, see, I'm torn. I've put myself in a corner. I'm like, do I go for flavor or do I go for impact? Because if I was going impact, Chem 91 all day. So Chem 91 all day. If I was going for flavor, I would probably go somewhere in that mimosa or sour tangy zone, just because that's like, or blueberry muffin. That's not miss. I'm sorry, that's 4, but yeah, that's where I would go. 2 definites, and then I'd have to decide between impact and flavor.
So you say Chad will take the cookies for the 3rd. No, you don't.
Oh, who said that? They know me too well. They know me too well.
You don't know you too well.
I love talking smack against cookies.
Yeah. So a crop. I was about to get into that. About the sea of green, but I was going to ask you a question, since you were talking about checking all the boxes. What is the difference to you between quality versus quantity?
Quality versus quantity. A lot of times, sometimes for, I guess, commercial or, those type of growers, it's biomass. For me, quality versus quantity is the attention to detail. Like we were talking earlier, some of the trichomes, they just get completely knocked off in a lot of the process. So I think quality comes down a lot to the processes you use, whether it is your nutrition, your soil, your watering, but also how you handle it, how you keep your conditions like your heat, your humidity, airflow. When you're growing for quantity, you don't really care about those things, because at the end it's about a dry weight, because the dry weight is more valuable to you than something that's, you know, really pretty and handled well. But I think most of us would prefer the quality over quantity approach.
Okay. Here's Cav Bar. I just told you this is
Yeah,
Cav Bar's crop. The with your
I've got that within arm's reach of me. That one, I
I
was
do
talking
too.
with him the other day. And that might be towards the front of the list, because I am getting stuff back from people that have grown out some of my strains and crossed it with some things that they've liked. And I'm like, I enjoy the profiles of the plants that I put out, because that's what I, have been smoking for a while. If I don't like it, then it's not going anywhere. Because again, if I find something that's beneficial to my body, I know it's not going to be for everybody, but I know there are others out there. So it's got to hit me there, and then it gets out.
Okay.
But yeah, that blueberry muffin cross, that's a plant that I've been interested in. But people are sending me crosses that they've made, and I'm like, well, shoot, I should just really start focus on popping a lot of those, because it'll be easy for me to see in those offspring, okay, you look like the plant that I sent out. You don't look like the plant I sent out. And then I can start to get dominant and recessive things and then work them back into the original plants they came from. So it takes a lot of time, but that's fun. That's proper breeding.
Yeah, I mean, and all right, talk about proper breeding. What do you think about, what do you have to say to the people out there? All right, now they say there's pollen checkers, and then you got people that's supposed to be working your line. Like if you're gonna have a sound line, I think that you should work it all the way through. Try to breed out all the bad traits that you don't want in the plant. And then it comes to the statement of, that's the big thing that's going on right now. Plants that are that have Hermy traits, over people are saying that it's the grower over the breeder. So what do you think about that part of, is it the grower or the breeder when it comes down to the plant herming out and certain?
I think it's both, but here's, so you mentioned, so like we'll start with like the pollen checking, and then true breeders. I don't really go for both of them. I mean, like pollen checking just sounds like you're dumb if you've ever pollinated a plant. I like to say making seeds, because that's how it starts. Like you gotta start somehow. And then the difference though is there are some people who will just take whatever they have, put it together without like defining, I hope this gets incorporated there or that, and then they don't test them and they give them to people. In those instances, the herms, that's usually the breeder's fault, because they're not familiar with the line. They haven't run it multiple times. They've run it once, or maybe not even once, and then pollinated it. They just pollinated it because it was there. You don't know really what's in that plant, and you don't know how it breeds. You don't know, because you didn't test it, what the progeny is. There's some recessive traits that will never show in my plant, or anybody's plant, but then you put it with something else, and all of a sudden that recessive trait is now dominant, and everything herms. Well, my plant never hermed, and all of these did, but that's the difference with breeding. Breeding is done with intent. You're looking through things, and it takes time, and that's why people don't have the attention span for it. Like, to be completely honest, people do not have the attention span for it, but you're going to see some really awesome things years down the road, because there are people doing it, but the fashion, the flavor of the month is so finicky. You can't do a breeding project with something that's popular today and have it still popular by the time you finish, but it will come back around. So if you put in the time and you really master it, then yeah, it's good. And in those cases, when people do work lines like that and they look for the traits and they pick the dominant ones and they put them back together, those usually, I could say maybe it is, a little bit of the grower. if there's a bunch of herms. You got to be able to test them everywhere. Like that's why I send out to testers. I can only grow indoors. I couldn't tell you what it does outdoors. So I rely on other people in cold regions and hot regions to tell me what it does. Because there's people from all over are going to buy them. They're not just in a 4x4 tent like I am. So yeah.
All right. Crop had asked a question. It was a question that was going to come up. I've watched a couple of your videos, and I watched a couple of your interviews also, about the sea of green method. What are your thoughts on that?
So
Because
the sea of green.
Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
He's School of Crop is him, and I think ADHDOG, if they're both out there, I want to give them a shout out. They both are doing the sea of green, and they're from seed or from clone. It was from clone to harvest, 88 days or 84 days. One was 70 something days, and they're pulling up to like 365 grams out of a 2x4 tent. And I'd seen that you was also talking about it before, so I wanted to ask you your opinion on that again.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the results that they're getting, and that is an impressive thing. And that's one thing. So sea of green is basically, you know, short plants. You let it grow up, and you chop off every side branch. So it's just like a stick with a cola on the end. And when you think of it, and then sometimes when you see them, especially if they don't veg long, you're just like, well, that's a waste of time and space and energy. But the amount that you can actually pack in under one light, when you think of all of those actually being that big cola, like you said, the yields can be pretty good. I haven't done it for a long time, and people without plant counts can definitely do that. The reason why it went kind of like out of style is because of plant counts. And when you're doing sea of green, you've got to have a lot of plants. And back in the day, when you would get caught with a grow, you would get sentenced on a minimum per plant. Like if your plant was this big, well, they still said it was going to harvest 2-point-something pounds. So it doesn't matter how big it is. And when people started getting busted with just warehouses sea of green, and they added up all that weight, the sentencing was just unbelievable. And Wolf Siegel is the guy that's kind of credited with sea of green back from the 80s, that method. And while he was in jail, he actually had a lot of time to think. But that's when he came up with the screen of green. And that's what I prefer, because you can take one plant and you can just spread it out into, you could fill a whole 4x4 with it. And if someone were to knock on your door, you're like, I only have one plant, and that's totally legal, versus the same like 50 plants it would take to get the same harvest in a sea of green. So yeah, there's pluses and minuses to it. It's fun to try. I mean, everybody should do it at least once.
Uncle Doug says the song is Dutch, but talking about before when it was illegal, right? Have you ever had any run-ins with like the law with it came down to cannabis in the past?
Yeah, fortunately, it was never something that ever resulted in like a record or whatnot. Yeah. It was all when I was younger. It was all smaller, minor stuff, just kind of getting caught by like the local cop who hung out at the skate park or whatever. He's like, I smell something, boys. What is this? And we're like, I already ground it into the grass. Good luck, So yeah, just minor stuff. But at the same time, that also painted an important image in my head, especially when it comes to criminal records and expungement for people or for states that are going legal. I had a buddy that got busted with like a 10 sack. And because he was kind of a punk ass and the cops didn't like him, they charged him and it got on his record. He wasn't able to get a loan for any kind of higher education because he had that on his record. You can't get a federal loan if you got a drug conviction or whatnot on your record. And I'm like, that is the biggest fucking injustice I could think of. Like, he was a good kid and he could have probably benefited from something like that. Like, he's the kid who the world needed to give a chance to. and it just didn't. So that always stuck with me, man. Like that's BS.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've had a record behind. I had my own run-ins with cannabis, and um, like even with the grows and stuff like that. I never got in any trouble with a grow, but
Mhm.
because we all have our own stealth tactics, the way we grew, even if it was outdoors or indoors. Do you have any stealth tactics that you used to use back in those days when you were trying to? Were you
Yeah, I mean
growing back then?
I was more on the distribution side, we'll
Yeah,
say,
me too. I understand that.
uh, which it did include a minivan. You know, I drive like a grandma. I drove inconspicuous. I learned from John Gotti, you do not draw attention to yourself, otherwise things go bad. So yeah, just again, being modest. It was the simple things of, when I was much younger and a teen, we didn't figure things out. And then, someone's parents are always like, why is there somebody coming over every 20 minutes and they always hang out for like 5 minutes, and why? And we're like, should probably change that. So yeah,
Yeah.
little patterns always give you away.
All right. So, with many states legalizing, what do you think will happen at the federal level, and do you think it will happen?
I think it will happen federally, which two ways it can go. In my optimistic world, it would just be, okay, states, you deal with it, you figure it out. It would create a free market where, because like I'm in Washington State, there were only a certain number of licenses issued, and that was done over 8 years ago. They haven't issued any new ones. I would love to get a license and participate in this economy, but I can't because I'm locked. So I think if things go federally legal and there's less regulations, the market will dictate the winners, and craft will actually have a chance to survive. The mom and pop, the small person, if you can grow, sell direct to people at like a farmer's market or something like that, you can survive. How it's set up today, you're all going out of business. It's if you haven't already been out of business for a long time. That's my optimistic side. The reality side probably is, if it does go federally legal, there are going to be all kinds of prohibitive regulations that are going to put a lot of people in business today out of business, because all of a sudden you have to be ADA compliant with all of your facilities. All of a sudden you have to live up to the FDA standards and their testing and their clean room environments. You're going to have to follow all these federal regulations that other industries like food has to follow. But because it's not federally legal right now, nobody has to follow those standards unless the state makes them or they choose to. So it's going to be a shakeup, man. I'm hoping for the first, and I hope craft will rise, because again, the home grower is the craft, and that's the heart of cannabis. So that's what I hope.
Small batch craft cannabis, right?
Yep.
I think. Well, you think they will ever, like, when they do, if they ever do go federal, you think they're gonna reverse the charges for people in prison serving time on the charges, or even get the people who had uh cannabis type charges on their record completely erased?
It's easier to expunge the records than to release people convicted. They don't typically like to do that because they don't want to all of a sudden have to start looking backwards on all the laws that they've had. Like it's almost one of those, shitty things. It's like, okay, if you got caught on this day, you're going to jail. Law passed. If you got caught this day, then you're cool. So easier to expunge records than to release prisoners. It's a for-profit industry. I'll be cynical and say I don't see that happening.
All right, so I'm gonna get back into the plants instead of going into I just love to try to get everything, like cover all the aspects of
These
this
are good
this industry.
questions, man. I'm having
Yeah.
fun.
All right. So I'm gonna get back into like the plants. So we're gonna talk about growing. Okay. So we're gonna go into
Yep.
like from seed to veg stage and flower and so on and so forth. You like you said you like to use living soil or organics, right?
Mhm.
Correct.
Yep.
All right. So how do you usually start your seeds? You start them in wraparoot or solos, 1 gallons.
Yep. So to pot my seeds, like probably everybody, I started with the paper towel method. Paper towel method works great. Sometimes I get busy and I forget to rewater it. And I had that happen a couple times. And it's like, ah. So I just soak my beans in a cup of water. I'll put them in a cup of water, let them float. Usually 24, 48 hours later, I see little tails. I go directly into the soil, and I'm going directly into a 1 gallon uh, container. And that again, it has enough nutrients in it to get it started, to get it growing. And then I let it grow until I'm seeing roots come at the little holes in the bottom. I'm like, okay, time to up pot it, and that I'll usually go up to a 4 or 5 or a 7 for my final. But it's seedling, 1 gallon, and then into the final container.
Okay. Your light setup, do you keep it at like the top of the tent, 12 inches above the canopy, 18, 24? Do you suggest T5s or LEDs also in that?
Yep, seedling stage, T5s are perfectly fine. LEDs work good too. Vegetative stage, the first couple of weeks, T5 is still good, but when you really want to start putting on that growth and that shape, switch over to LED. I typically have mine higher, and this is something I constantly play with because HPS, the older systems, I'm used to where you had to have it. LED, some people slam it right on there. Some people have it way at the top. I know reasons for both, and I know reasons why not to do both. So I constantly play around. What I find myself doing most of the time is I leave my light high, and then I use the dimmer to control it. So like the veg or like early seedling veg stage, I have my dimmer down, and then as it's growing towards the lights, I can turn things up when it has that more vegetation, that more growth. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
totally understand. So do you measure PPFD or DLI when you're playing with the I
Yeah,
can't even talk
I
about
with the dimmer. I wish I could say that I did, but I don't because I don't have the tools. There are phone apps where you can get your PPFD and then calculate your DLI.
it.
I'm
It's
not
Photon.
overly. What's that?
It's called Photon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Totally. It's the Photon or Photon app. That's the one that I've seen around. And there is a little bit of a margin of error, but with any device, if you know the margin of error, then you can accurately offset it. But yeah, I'm not overly tech savvy with the phone, so I don't even have any apps on my phone. Um, but yeah, I wish I could say that I did, but I don't. I rely on my plants a lot of the times to. I rely on my plant to tell me what I need to do and what not to do. But I will listen to that suggestion. So that was good. That was good looking out. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that was deep. Um, he said, okay, so back into veg. Now we're gonna go into veg. So we already had the seedling clone stage.
Yeah.
When do you consider veg to start? We have this big thing in the community lately. Some people saying when they take it out of the cloner. Some people are saying some people
Right.
are keeping their plants in the cloner for 30 days. We have growers out here keeping the plants in the
True.
cloner for 30 days, or they're keeping them in the solo cup to keep them small. When do you consider uh when the first day of veg?
Usually for me on a clone is when it hits the soil and it's ready. Because I do use the aero cloner, so I'm actually growing roots out in there. And then once I put it into the soil, usually I'll start the clock there. Clock for flower is a little more important than veg because really you could stop that at any time. But when it comes to like seedlings and kind of like the official word as I know it, is when it its first set of true leaves. So usually you have, the cotyledons, and you have the 1-finger blade, and then sometimes you'll get the 3-finger. But once you get the 5-finger blade, that is usually considered like its first true set of leaves. And so I think, botanically that would be, okay, that's the end of seedling. It is now in vegetative stage.
Okay. You already asked you about the lights. Light setup the same way you say as you're going through veg, you're already having that.
Yep.
Um,
I do use lower wattage in veg though. So because the vegetative plants don't need as much light, and because I'm like shifting from a veg tent to a flower tent, I've got to wait for flower tent. So I don't really want super vigorous growth in my veg tent. So I'll use a little bit of a lower light in veg, and that can help some people.
Okay. Feeding regimen, like you said earlier, we were talking about when you're using your dry amendments, you're using living soil. In veg, how are you going about feeding your plants in veggies, or is it just a set and forget, just pick it up and moving it over for you?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
When I was using the Sohum living soil, that was just kind of set it and forget it. It has everything it needed in there. I didn't have to think about it. The soil I'm using now with the amendments, the soil has a good 3 weeks of energy in it, for 3-4 weeks of energy in it. So usually by about the second week, I'm applying the top dressing, knowing that probably about week 4, maybe week 5 is really when it's going to be at its maximum availability. So that's usually how I start. I think ahead. I usually only give it that 1 feed for veg. And then before I go into transition, maybe 2 weeks before that, I give it another feeding, because again, it takes about 2 weeks when it gets to that transition and really starts to put on its growth. It will have the nutrients it needs and wants. So.
Okay. What about IPM? What do you use, and what do you feel about IPM, and when should you use it, and up to when should you use it in veg?
Yep.
I mean, up in veg now, still in veg.
So IPM starts, for me, the best thing of IPM is cultural practices. And that just means like keeping a clean grow room, not mowing your lawn or going for a hike through the brush and then going into your grow room. Keeping maybe clean, a pair of Crocs or, some different clothes. There's multiple different levels, but at the home level, we stand a far lesser chance than people who are growing outside, or if you live next to farmland where there are heavier pest pressures. I don't like to use pesticides or any sort of spray there are organic approaches to it. There are predator insects as well, but I still don't like putting insects in my plant. I know that works and thousands of people do it, but I'm like, why am I putting bugs to get rid of bugs? I don't want bugs. That's the whole point. So really in veg though, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can do, the insects, you can do sprays, neem oils, labs, I believe. There's non-pesticidal approaches or fungicidal approaches to it. When it comes to flowering though, once the buds start to set, once you start to see those stigmas, I do not encourage anybody to spray anything on there. Sometimes water, if you do get aphids or even sometimes spider mites, if it's not that bad, the pressure and the water, you're able just to kind of spray them off. But that's a whole nother conversation of what should you do if you get that. Do you pull the plug? Do you try to limp through it? That's another conversation. But IPM, to your original question, my biggest thing is just cultural practices, man. Keep a clean room, think about contamination, and hopefully you'll never have to use anything else.
All right. I really do feel that it's a lot of people out there that needed to hear that also, because we have people really going through, oh no, the IPM, no, not really, or have a dirty grow room, or have pets in their grow room, or don't wash. I'm a big advocate of that, because I used to have my outdoor and my indoor, and I would always make sure if I couldn't go out and do my indoor first and I was outdoor, I would come in, wash up, change clothes, go downstairs, go into my bait, go into the grow. And you have to keep those, like you said, cultural practices. You have to continue to try to keep yourself clean and try to keep it. Don't do any cross contamination, especially when you 90% of the time you bring the bugs into your home grow. You introduce them to your home grow.
Yeah, and like you were saying too, keep that tent clean, man. Pick up the leaf in the corner, wipe up that little bit of spilled water, get that soil on the floor. Just like keep it clean. It's easier to stay on top of it, and you'll have less problems. So yeah, that's cultural practices for you.
All right. All right. So it's still in veg. What about training? How do what do you think about mainlining, topping, fimming, twisting, crack, the super cropping?
all the abuse who can do it. Mainlining, I don't do a whole lot of it because I'm usually not going from seed. From seed, mainlining is the easiest because you get that nice symmetrical branching growth. Clones, they're kind of one's here, one's there. But I do practice a lot of topping. I do practice a lot of like bending, and I'll use, gosh, do I have some around? I don't, but like little binder clips, I'll attach them to the edge of my pot, and then I'll get just twist ties and bend branches down. And, I just kind of bend, and then soon enough, by the time you're ready for flower, that bend is just permanent. You can take off your clip and it just kind of stays and it's already grown up. So I try to do most low stress training of just bending, and I don't do cracking as much unless it just gets too big, and I'm not scared to do it.
All right. So after your training, like, when do you decide when the plant's ready to go in the flower?
Yep. Usually for me, it's just timing of the tents, but I like to, if I had an empty tent, I like to see, at least 7 or 8 nodes. I like to see a good body to it, a good frame, because there is a point in like the vegetative life where, like, let's just say it's this high versus this high. If you went this high, you'd still get a yield. But if you waited like 2 extra weeks and let it get this high, you've doubled your flower, because now there's just more like bud sites. So I guess it's just through experience of like looking at the plant, knowing how much it's going to stretch, how many extra bud sites it will put on. I'll look at it and be like, okay, you're ready, versus something where maybe it only has a few side branches, a lot of internodal spacing. I'm like, you could use more time.
Okay. All right. So when flipping from veg, do you encourage or try to constrain the stretch? Like, we was talking about nutrient restriction in the past couple of weeks. We were talking about nutrient restriction to try to mitigate the stretch, DLI to try to mitigate the stretch. Um, what do you personally do to try to mitigate the stretch?
I'll have like scrog nets sometimes, or I will have trained the plant beforehand. Like I know, cause like right now the Westport grape juice I have, not a big stretch on it at all. So I really haven't trained it. It's just as it wants to be. The cheese OG that I have next to it, that thing is super tall. That's one that I've actually cracked, laid over on its side, have a net over. So I know what it's going to do going into it, and I react accordingly through my training. So if you don't know what the stretch is going to be like, though, scrog nets are always good to kind of fill in if you need to. But maybe you just flower. You can almost always expect at worst like doubling the height or maybe triple. So if you have a 4-foot tent, or well, say you have a 6-foot tent, don't wait till it's 4 feet to flower it. Flower it around 2 or 3 feet, because if it doubles, you'll still have room. And then next time you run it, you'll know how much it stretches.
Okay. So why do you think the stretch occurs? Because we was talking again in the past month, we was talking about this, and we were trying to do like nutrient restriction to see if that is or nutrient restriction, adding more DLI, but lower on the PPFD, so on and so forth. So it actually balances out. So why do you think that's actually the stretch? Well, I know why, me personally, because I think a plant
Right.
always going to try to bolt when it goes in the flower. Is always going to try to get
Yep.
up to that light as much as it can. But I'm just going to skip that whole fucking question. Your
No,
light
it's
setup.
that's a good one, man.
Feeding regimens. I just answered a question for. I answered the question. So all right. So in the feeding regimen in flower, with your dry amendments, are you using anything different, as in for like PK boosters or silica, or so on and so forth?
No. The formula is a little bit higher on the P and the K, but it's not completely overboard or out of bounds. Like you'll see some nutrients that are like 0, 50, 50. Like, damn,
Hmm.
that's got to be good. The key is balance in the soil. Once it becomes out of balance, and you could cause all kinds of different unintended reactions. So yeah, there is a little more P and the K in there, but it's still pretty much the same as far as your basic macro and micronutrients that it's getting.
Okay, talking about macro and micro. With CalMag, what do you with CalMag versus Mag Sulfur? When do you switch over from CalMag and stop using it and go into Mag Sulfur?
So I would use I don't use mag sulfur myself. I'll use like Epsom salt, which has
Okay,
a
that's
lot of
what's up.
that. Yep. Okay. Yep. Usually because that one has more sulfur and then a little bit of magnesium. Um, Maybe that's why I got them backwards there. But anyway, so CalMag is usually what I'll use if I need something like that. And actually now I'm playing around with a calcium silica. Um, but so usually I'll go through transition. Sorry, back to the point with CalMag. I'll go through transition with something like that, and then cut it off probably second week flower. And that's kind of after the transition has finished. Um, but that's something that the plants are hungrier for, it seems, with like the LED lights, and particularly if you are growing in cocoa, then it's going to need more of that. It's just the way we are learning about the plant. So it is important, as much as people are like, oh, CalMag, like it's a meme because it works. Like it's a meme because that really was an answer to a lot of people's problems when they switched over from HPS to LED. It's like, just add CalMag, you're fine. And now it's turned into a meme. But yeah, CalMag is good.
Oh, Diesel Junkie got a great question. Are you using enzymes? And if
There
so, which one are you using?
Yeah, no, not specifically. There are some amino acids and enzymes, I believe, in the Bokashi Earthwork stuff, but specifically, I don't know which ones. And I would also say, I think maybe in the recharge as well. But no, that isn't an avenue that I'm that I haven't dove into super deep.
All right. I was back into this, so we were talking about water. So you're using you say if we're using cocoa, you're in living soil, but if you're using cocoa, the water, are you using RO, deionized distilled tap water, or what do you think is the best for each type of medium to you between the two that you?
Right. I usually will go for tap water, but that's because like the ppm and the pH of mine are extremely reasonable. My ppm is low, almost as low as RO, and then the pH is like right around 7. So I still do treat the water, but my tap here is good. There's people in other parts of the country where if you've got, RO might be your best option. RO is a little bit hard. One, it's really wasteful, it's expensive, and it takes out all the minerals. So you have to add stuff back. And that's especially important if you're using cocoa, because again, cocoa doesn't really have much of anything in it. So you got to add it. And if you're stripping it from the water, you really got to add it back. So that's another just kind of room for error. Again, if I had my good tap water here, or I had a good reverse osmosis, the tap water, less chance for error. And that's usually how I kind of advise people, go with the less chance for error. So tap if it's good, RO if it's not, or try to treat your water at least.
All right. Um, And then go down to like harvesting your plants or getting your plants set up under a net or bamboo. First of all, when you're going into flower, how are you going about? Are you using a trellis net inside your tents, or have you used bamboo or any other way of staking up your plants? Because it's two
Uh,
types.
I'm that guy, even though I have glasses, like I'll lose my eye with stakes, man. There's so many times I've like hit myself in the center of the head or like off my cheek with a stake. I'm like, ooh. So yeah, stakes are not for me. Um, I usually use trellis, or sometimes I'll have like, there's little yo-yos where you can just attach it to the top of the like tent pole and then just pull the string down and it can support it up. I'm looking for, though, when I'm growing and selecting plants, I'm looking for plants that don't need it. Like I want plants with strong branches. I want plants that don't really need much training. Because again, if I could get that to people, to new growers, that's just a plus. So in the instances I do need support, though, it's usually the trellis net.
Okay. All right. So you're talking about with the big branches, strong branches to hold them up. Do you think silica is one of the main reasons that those branches are getting so big? I mean, being able to hold those buds up.
Yep.
Also,
It,
when do you stop using silica? You personally, if you was to have silica, if you were feeding it.
Yep, it is a good one, and it is part of that. It does help strengthen cell walls, and also go back to CalMag. CalMag calcium also helps with that. So yeah, I do use it. It also helps for kind of like drought stress, silica. So if irregular watering habits, or you live in a really hot place, that can also kind of help the plant. I would say, because it's usually incorporated into the dry amendments that I use. There's a small amount, but additive maybe a week after flower, week or two after flower. That's usually when I cut any additive stuff out of a program.
All right. I'm thinking about the grow part besides the harvest. All right. When you are doing your breeding or you growing your plants, when do you say? I know it's a personal preference. Everybody's gonna say that if it's too much, 10% amber, no
Mm-hmm.
amber, all cloudy. When do you feel like you should get the best expression of if you're going to be smoking that weed? Do you think it's going to be at 10%? Do you think it's going to be all cloudy, so on and so forth? What do you look for in when you go look under your loop or your microscope?
So, right. Again, like just the generic 80-10-10 is usually what I recommend, and then people can develop a preference. My preference, though, is I usually will pull a little bit earlier than later. And there's some of the strains I have, they're sedative enough for me to where I don't feel I need to go that longer amount to get more amber trichomes, which is usually associated with the sleepier kind of degraded THC into CBN. But the reason, and that's CBN being a minor cannabinoid, that's usually why I pull a little bit earlier. Maybe it's probably like 80 milky, 10 clear. No, 85 milky, 10 clear, and 5 amber. I pull it with a little bit more clear than amber because like CBG and some of those earlier, less mature minor cannabinoids, I kind of think my body likes them. I don't have proof, but I kind of think my body likes them. So that's why I usually pull a little bit earlier myself.
I think I got a few more questions left. Can you share any experiences or lessons you learned from experimenting with different growing mediums, like from what you said you was in? You go from aeroponics to cocoa. Now you're like again, and you're in the. Is there any lessons that you've learned, or what I'm saying, from doing that?
Yeah, just the different mediums like to be watered differently. There is like pH differences sometimes. With cocoa, you want to be in a particular range, soil, particular range. Living soil, it's not as important, but you still need to be within a certain range. So just knowing to water differently. And I mentioned that example because for a long time I was doing cocoa and I had everything, dialed in that way. And then I switched over to soil, and I realized I didn't have to water it as much because soil retains a lot more of the moisture. So, I kind of messed up that way a little bit. And then another, shortly after that, I was going and I was still pHing and doing all that for cocoa. And I was wondering why I was having some problems with my plants, and I couldn't figure it out because I was doing everything I've always done, right? And then I was listening to, it was Free Weed by Danny Danko, which is an old High Times podcast. And they were talking about pH levels. And I'm like, I freaking knew that. I knew that is different, but yet it still didn't register to me. So I guess the biggest point that I'm trying to make there, just switching up different mediums, is just know that they want to be watered differently. Just because you've dialed water in cocoa doesn't mean you've dialed water soil, and living soil above any other ones wants to stay the wettest. And that's important because if you don't keep a really healthy living soil very wet, if you allow for dryback, then a lot of the microbes will die because of that dryback. So yeah, different watering practices for different mediums.
Okay, I'm getting to some of these questions, and then I have two last questions, what I always end my show with. You say, do you feel with a higher tolerance that letting the trikes amber more, giving them more high?
So in the like physical internal aspect, as far as how like THC and CBD or CB1 and CB2 connectors work, there's only an infinite amount of combinations that they can make. So the color isn't going to make you higher there, but it's those cannabinoids, the switch cannabinoids, that may make you a little bit more, sedative or with a higher tolerance. Because again, when it comes to like pain management or sleep management, a high tolerance can be a problem, and you typically go for the more sedative, myrcene heavy, amber trichome strains. So let's see, do you feel the higher tolerance letting the trikes? I don't think it will give you a higher tolerance, but for people with a higher tolerance, probably letting it go more amber is going to be more effective for you.
Okay. Jenny says, happy late 420. And what's your best advice for tasty drying?
Don't do it too fast. Going too fast is going to ruin it, ruin the taste. If I'm in a very humid climate, I'm going to take all of my fan leaves, all the big stuff off. If I'm in a non-humid climate, I'm going to leave them on, so it's going to shelter the buds and allow them to dry slower. Always have air movement, but don't necessarily blow it directly on the plants because that will cause them to dry quicker. But if you're not moving air around, you can be asking for PM, because PM is all around us. It just needs to land and then infect the plant tissue. So keep it moving. That's why air circulation is so big. And I mentioned that because you don't want to, again, blow it on the plants because that will dry it out too quickly. Tasty plants get a good long cure. Or dry, hang dry.
I think, is there any specific tips you can offer and expiring cannabis growers?
I would hope this is, a good tip. Just do it. Just start. That is the main thing. And if you get to harvest your first try, no matter if you've harvested an eighth, you've made it. Like, congratulations. It'll be addictive. You'll start growing this, then you want to start growing vegetables, and you'll want to start growing more, like more and more. It leads to better things. So if you're a new grower and you're thinking of just starting, do it. Just start. There's plenty of, like we talked about, like cocoa and synthetic nutrients. There's plenty of like regimens that you could follow. And then as you get better with it, you can learn more, you can add more, you can do different things. But if you want to just get started, do it. It's possible. A lot of support out there for you. I haven't tried the Herbs Now dryer. I've known a couple people that have used it. I've never been able to sample the smoke myself. They say that they enjoy it. I tend to think of them with people as good taste, but I've never had it myself. So who knows? I've never smoked with them. They could be smoking booty stuff, thinking it's great. I don't think they are, but yeah, I've not tried it myself.
Yeah, I told this that. What does it say? Okay, what advice do you have for the viewers who want to grow their own cannabis at home?
To grow your own cannabis at home, dial in or pick the right environment, and just realize that this plant will teach you patience. Nothing with this plant happens fast, so it's a little bit of a commitment, but it will bring you a lot of joy. I mean, I spend so much time just blankly staring at my plants, just like, a little bit taller today, it's fun. It's therapeutic. It's the best thing. So yeah.
All right. That is it. This is probably the end of it. I appreciate you coming out. I usually I know we went on in like an hour and a half. I don't know how your schedule is set up. I usually have open up the panel and I have it's usually some of the guys that I actually deal with, and they come up and they actually try to ask you some questions. I don't know if you like. I don't know how, because some
happy.
people don't want to.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely down. I've got at least another half hour for you if you like.
All right, yeah. So let me get you guys.
Hopefully, I'll have good answers too. Hopefully,
oh no,
there might be a lot of like, I don't know.
Trust me, they are. These are. I already know who you are. You can come up. You can ask them whatever you like, and I'm gonna do a bean giveaway. I'm gonna give away.
Oh, hell yeah.
Give away some seeds today. So y'all stick around. Don't go nowhere. We're gonna give y'all give away some beans.
I can't let you be the only one. I got to give away some beans too, man.
All right, so let me get the. Oh hell yeah! Let me get the link for you guys, and then I will bring you guys up. You already know. Don't pull a level, so you know I'm not. I'm gonna let you people up. You people, I said it like that.
You dirty cannabis growers.
I will let you guys up. All right, here's the link. Come on up. Once again, if I do let you up, please be respectful, or you will lose it. You lose your rent, you lose it all. You already know. I told you guys. You get a wrench, you get it, you lose it. Boom. Pin message. Bum. All right. I know Crop want to come up. I know Deeds will probably want to come up.
Nice.
Cheers. Cheers to everybody.
You got a lot of awesome people. Yeah.
Yeah. I do. Nigga Crop. I tell you, Crop was gonna want to come up. Here's School of Crop.
Oh, come on. You knew I was gonna jump up. What up, Chad?
Chillin'. Good to see you, man.
It's good to see you, brother. I just wanted to say I appreciate, the way you are. You're open to answering all the questions. You're open to all the criticism of everything, and you're cool about it.
Thank you very much. We're all on the same journey, man. And there's this thing that I learned early in life, and this was from skateboarding. It's like, even if you're the best kid in the town, there's a kid in a town over who's probably better than you. So there's always going to be a bigger fish. And with that in mind, it also gives you the ability to always continue to learn and to have that thirst, because there's got to be somebody out there that knows like more than you. And for me, that's the approach I always try to keep. Like, I'm okay being wrong. Like, there will be times where I may be wrong. I'm open to changing my opinion or my knowledge. That's what it's all about. So I appreciate you saying that, because that's really what I kind of want. I'd love it if everybody did that. If everybody just dropped the attitude, or it's got to be this way or the highway. Just let's all grow together, man, because not a single one of us knows it all. So thank you.
I mean, I'm one of those guys that'll bust people's balls, about their growth and shit like that. But I only do it because it was the way I was taught, right? And so I have a
Hmm.
hard time, and I've backed myself off from that some, like I, I, I try to be a little bit nicer, but I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it for people, I mean, I feel there's a
Yeah.
lot of people out here telling people that they're doing good when they're not, and that's really gonna
Yep.
hurt them in the long run.
You're absolutely right, and I agree too. Like I love busting balls. Like this, man. You should see me and like Mr. Magpie is a perfect example, man. We would make most people cry, but it's all in good fun. But you're right though. You don't want to sugarcoat things, and you don't want to encourage like bad growing behaviors, and that is a fine line. You have to be tactful. It has to be. So here's my like philosophy or thought on it. It's easy to point out something that's bad. Like anybody with a little bit of
Oh,
knowledge can point
absolutely.
out something that's bad. But a person who is knowledgeable will be like, okay, this is bad, but here is probably a way to correct that. Like always offer a
Absolutely.
solution. If you can always offer a
Absolutely.
solution, I don't care how you come at me. If you're,
Right.
people have all kinds of different ways of helping. And if, someone comes at me like that, but they're offering like a solution or suggestion, I will think about it. And if there's, like knowledge or wisdom in it, I'll see it and I'll be like, thanks.
Well, I found like
It's probably not the answer they expected, but I'll be like, thanks.
I found that like sometimes with people, it's easier to kind of be a dick because they're gonna remember that, later on. They're gonna be like, wow, maybe I should take a look at this, rather than being nice and sugarcoating it, and then they don't even remember that I even mentioned anything to them later on. Like they
Yeah,
just,
right.
they just like, oh, you told me that before, like. But if I'm kind of like, hey, look here, Dick, you should stop doing this and this, and they tend to be like, oh shit, they kind of get butthurt in the beginning, but they think about it, and you see that progresses their grow, or that it helps
Well,
them in the long run. They are fixing it.
and that depends on
Correct?
the approach and how well you know the person. If you don't know the person, nobody wants to be like attacked or told they're like less than. If you approach it from a like, hey bro, I'm trying to help you angle, then that's good. And you can still bust balls and be that. And the way the busting balls will come in, if people don't like listen to your advice, next time you see them, you see their garden, be like, so you didn't change this, did you? And they'll be like,
All right.
oh,
Yeah, that's the best way. Yep.
Right, and
All
and
right.
I
So
do that. I do that, and they get all butthurt, and they like to. And I think it's shadowed me in a lot of ways. And not that I'm trying to get a bunch of subs or recognition on YouTube, but I feel like people just don't take me seriously. So I don't. I just bust balls all the time now. I
hey,
mean,
before I get into DJ is had a question for you, and I
go
wanted to
for it.
ask. He was like, "Is cannabis better today, back then? Better today or back then? Do you feel?" And that was a question. That's a very good question. I wanted to get that out there before I went down to the new stuff.
I
it's a
got an
good
answer for that
question.
too after Chad.
I'm gonna say that the flavors and the terpenes are better today, but the impact and the power is probably about the same. Except the stuff that from yesterday did it with 15% THC, whereas the 25% THC is about the same. So
I'm
some magic we lost along the way and bred it out. But yeah, old stuff still hits. It just doesn't have that wide array of flavors and terpenes that we do today.
I feel that the older stuff was better, and the only reason why I say that is I feel like when we get a high THC number now, I feel like you have to take something away. What are we taking away to gain that extra THC percentage? And I feel like the old stuff was more of a full spectrum. You got all the cannabinoids, to where I feel nowadays you have to take some of that away to get that higher THC percentage. Do you have any thoughts about that, Chad?
Um, I mean, yeah, we are breeding away from it, but again, ultimately, the home grower, like myself, again, I because I don't have a state license, I can't THC test. I don't know these things, so we have to rely on what our body feels, and that's the home grower is really the people who are going to be pushing the new stuff. So Yeah, I don't think it's.
We're just not there yet. I don't think the studies have done, I'm always looking ahead, and I'm always thinking ahead, but we're just not there yet, But for me, I felt like if you have 100% and you break it up evenly, that's great. But if you then make one thing way more than the other, then you have to start taking away from something. I mean, you can't have like 150% of something if there's only 100%.
Yeah.
That's just a thought that, I mean,
All
I'm sure I'm
right.
probably wrong, but that's just.
I just want to move it along. I'm sorry for
Yep.
cutting you off, Crop.
Go ahead.
Snoop,
No,
you had
go
a
for it.
question? Did you have a question before, Chad?
Not really. I'm
All
just
right. Harry,
here.
did you have a question for Chad?
What's up,
No
Harry?
question. How we doing, man? How we doing? I want to say a wonderful episode, Dr. T. Nice to meet you, Chad. Awesome. Rock on. Grow some weed. All right,
Yeah,
bye,
buddy.
guys. I'm outie.
That's awesome. I love it.
All right. Down under here it's LED Girl. How you doing, LED?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing today?
How you doing? I see you
Good.
put your garden up, and we go ahead and put you on the solo screen. You have any
Yeah.
questions for Chad?
Nah, not really. I just wanted to get up here. It's been a while since I showed anything, so I just want to show what I had going on.
That's good, man.
Okay,
Those are happy looking plants. The just starting
Yeah, they
flower.
Yeah. They just started. They about 2 weeks in.
Yeah. Man, good.
It's
Happy
okay.
looking.
What are the ones in the front of those?
Those are two. All four of these are sour diesel. Well, that's an Afghani Kush. That's a sour diesel, and these other two sour diesel as well.
And so this is the thing that I ask people. With an LED light, how far into a canopy or how far down does an LED light penetrate?
Technically, it only goes like 2 feet. And I'm gonna be honest. I got the TS 1000 Mars Hydrolite, and this is original 2x2. It's not the 27x27. It's actually 24x24.
So I would ask then, what is the right amount of light? The light on those plants or the light on the lower plants?
Well, those don't stay in here. I got those in another area, but I'm in a small space. I'm not in my space, so I have to put these in here to keep them out of the way. But at night they come out. They still vegging. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Trust me, Chop. I've been through that so many times, too many times. But I'm not in my space. So I can't run my lights like I used to. So I can only run this one light, really, technically. So I'm using it the best of my ability, the way I can, to be honest.
So
but I know those really need to be up under less light. But I got it all the way up to the top of the tent, and it's actually right at about 85 watts right now.
Oh no, you're good. I mean, you do what you can do, and that's what I'm trying to get more to now. Like, if you're happy with your grow, then you're happy with it. Can it be improved?
Well,
I think you can all improve. But
you know me. I take the criticism, man, and I take the good with the bad. I know it could have been better. I know I have some glory holes, but like I said, I'm just trying to get me some jars filled, so I can't really spend a whole lot of time like I used to in training them.
But that's what
so
makes you a better grower, right? That's what makes you a better grower. Knowing you can do better next time is what makes you a better grower.
Most definitely, man. Because like I said, I know in my 32 by 32 I was growing in. I had one plant was taking up that space. You know what I'm saying? I've gotten better with the water than the training. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to get me a couple of jars, and then I got these two here that I'm gonna train out the proper way. So
here's the thing that I see too. Like, that garden is fine, man. Like, if you're producing enough for yourself, that garden is fine. Like, I would look at that in my own 2x2. I'd be happy with it. I wouldn't think I need to do anything. And actually, I want to honestly say I just learned something from you, which is why I love shows like this. So thank you, Dr. Trichome. And I love it when people show gardens, because we get to see things that other people just do, like, that we don't get. That coat hanger in the corner behind the pole, keeping your tent from going in when you close.
Dude, and it doesn't suck the wall. It doesn't suck in. But I learned that from another girl on this channel too. I learned that from one of my other friend girls. So I copied it and it actually works.
That's what I do too.
Man.
What I give
That's
everyone
awesome.
to do.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
There
I
is
learned
I've come a long way listening to crop and ADHD, grow balls, you know. So I know my training and my watering, you know. So, but I can always do better. I can always do better because I see one. You know, you can take one plant and fill up a 2x2 if you have the time. You know what I mean? So, doesn't
This
take
should be
2 or 3
fun.
plants to fill up a 2x2.
This should be fun. We shouldn't
Yeah,
be overthinking
it is.
to that level.
I
This should be fun.
just got sick. I just got sick of purchasing. So where I'm at, they said it was okay for me to do this. So you know what I'm saying? I'll break them off and just keep it going. But I try to keep it at a minimum. Keep it respectful.
Yeah.
All right. So, I wanted to ask. I'm sorry to cut you off too, because I know we're pressing.
Oh, you okay? I know you got. I know you're moving along. You good?
Jeannie. That's how you said it. Jeannie, you just came up. You have any questions for Chad? I think I have muted her on accident. Well, not on accident.
But I'm gonna hop off and let some other. I'm gonna hop off and let some other people come up, Dr. T. But I appreciate your show, man. You've been having good shows.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Come on, LED grower. Good to meet you, man.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks for showing. Yep.
I just wanted to say thank you, and this is really cool.
All right.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else has any questions?
Echo.
I think it's you. Are you playing YouTube in the background? I think you're playing YouTube in the background, Jenny.
I think so.
All right. Thank you for coming up.
Yeah, there it is. I just muted it.
Cool. Okay, thank you for coming up. If you have any other questions, I'm trying to get everybody to ask the question. If anybody has any questions for him personally, if you
what was Chad, do you know about the Grow Boss? What's your thoughts about the Grow Boss? I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like him because of the way he came across, me included. You know, in the beginning, I thought the guy was just a complete asshole. You know, I fought against him for a long time.
I never watched a show, and honestly, I became aware of him after he took himself off the air. And so there's a few people that I know that enjoyed his show, and it was kind of similar to what you're saying. It's like, you know, don't freaking baby people. People need the truth, and I'm here to tell it to them.
Right.
Sometimes, in my opinion, like, bro, I didn't ask for your fucking opinion. So
Right.
that's how I feel about people offering unsolicited opinions. But you know, everybody's got different approaches. So whether it's good or bad, I don't really know. I wasn't around for it. But I don't like people coming at me sideways. But again, if you come at me sideways but have reasoning and knowledge behind it, I'll listen to you. Because I realize I don't know everything, and I stand a chance to learn something maybe.
I mean, I'll be honest. I listen to a lot of YouTubers. I started growing in 2013. I listened to a lot of YouTubers and a lot of internet content, and it failed me for a lot of years. So for me, the Grow Boss helped me, and because I'm that type of guy that needs to be kicked in the nuts every once in a while, right? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like, so for me, it worked. You know, I went from growing weed to buying weed while I'm growing weed to now having all the weed I need, and you know, the other part and the other side of that. You know, like, so for me, it worked really well.
Good.
All right.
Good. Different strokes, different folks. I do see the question from Michael S. My cloning SOPs. I always clone. So I always suggest clone because I use an arrow cloner. But I always suggest cloning 2 weeks before you flip, because by the point 2 weeks rolls around, you should know that you have roots or not. And if you have roots, cool. Flip those puppies. You don't have to worry about them. You've got your fresh clones. And the way that starts is I like taking stuff from the lower part of the plant There are some sciencey reasons for it. You can go top, you could go bottom if you want. I like to go from the bottom and usually the soft little shoots. I like to cut at the branch instead of like at a node. I take short ones again because I don't want big ones. I have to wait until my flowering tent finishes. So if I start with a smaller clone, it has longer time to veg to grow. So usually maybe like a 4-inch clone. Put that in the arrow cloner. And then yeah, once I see the roots, then I go into the soil, usually the 1 gallon, and that's my cloning SOP.
Hey, Bingus, how you doing, Bingus?
And I'm the opposite. I grow mothers.
Hold on, Crop. I got some more questions because I wanted to get some more personal, but like I want
Bingus.
Yeah, get your time in.
I got a few questions outside of cannabis. You said that you did sound engineering, and also I've heard that you did writing and skateboarding. What else outside of cannabis that's interesting that nobody knows? Chad Westport.
Man, so yeah, like my life has been like skateboarding, music, and cannabis. Outside of this, like I like geeking out on stuff, you know, just like going down rabbit holes. And, you know, lately I'm into video production and I'm looking at a new camera and I want to try doing different tricks. And, you know, there's a lot of little things like that. So I always try to find something to occupy my time. But yeah, if my life were 3 words, it would be skateboarding, music, and cannabis.
Oh, so that means you still do skateboarding, right? So you still doing the
kickflip. Come on.
I do a kickflip. I saw do a kickflip.
Washington State's known for such good music. I mean, come on.
And I was, you know, 90s grunge era in Seattle. So I was here for all of that when they were small and playing like 50, you know, 50.
I lived in the same town as Kurt Cobain. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Kurt was he was an odd guy, but he was all right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Aberdeen.
Yep.
I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody else in the chat. Cause we got like 8 more minutes. If anybody want to come up, say something, ask them a question. I know. Oh, you know what? You got 8 minutes, right? Sindor, can you run a giveaway for me?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Can I?
Yeah, you on the computer, right? Just pull it up from the back screen.
No.
Yo, you use the StreamYard giveaway tool. You ever tried that?
Yeah.
Do you use that? Okay.
I'm not on the PC. StreamYard giveaway tool. Let me go to my.
You know what? I accidentally, when I was packing last night, I accidentally counted out one too many of the Westport's posse, which is that Westport grape juice S1, which I ran the 20 out myself. The 50 have gone out to testers. They're growing them. But I still have a few people I give them out to. Actually, there were contests for my show. And I packed an extra one. So why don't we give this one out on the show here to somebody listening? US only for me, though, because I just
US only.
ship to
yeah,
US,
it's US here. It's like US only. I can do Canada, but US only here also. I mean, I can do Canada, but it's only for Chad's is US only. That's what I meant to say. All right. Yeah. So, do you need me to bring you up from backstage? No, not yet. Matt Rob.
Magpie. Yeah, this is the Mr. Magpie rule. No Canadians, eh? It's an inside joke, but VPD knows. He knows Magpie. The Magpie rule is in effect. US only.
Dr. K, I'm on my phone.
Oh, you on your phone? Oh shit. Yeah. I guess I'll type it in the back chat. Gene, would you go down to the chat? If you want to join the giveaway, you would need to go down into the chat. So thank you for coming up. Sindor, you already up. You're already good here. CT's up here. I'm gonna figure out I'm gonna send you a number, or how about this? You can put a number in the back chat between 1 and 420, and then I'll let them choose and even refine it. I usually do it like that if I can't do my giveaway with the giveaway tool. You can type any number in the back chat, in the private chat, and
Let's see. I remember I joked once on a show when they were doing this. I joked, I'm like, I can read it off his glasses. So nobody pulled that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know yet. All right. So boom, I got it. You 3, 2, 1. Go ahead. Run it up. This is for there it goes, gonna go crazy.
It's so hard to watch sometimes. Ding, 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 ding. Wow.
Anybody that came up here just now, you will not.
We doing? How we doing? All right, you guys got it going on. I was gonna ask you if you needed a wheel.
I got this one.
All right, no problem. Good luck, everybody out there. Hopefully, one day I'll be able to get my hands on some of those run. Right now, my hands are full, so I don't need it. Got to transplant 3 blueberry muffins and a couple 3 Defiant seeds that I started.
That's cool. The blueberry muffins, one thing that I've heard, it has a really nice profile to it, which I'd like to grow. But I've also heard from numerous people, it finishes really fast, like 50-day finisher. That is awesome because I like things that are 60 days. So I could get 6 cycles a year. But if there's a 50-day, wow.
Hella jelly, and muffins, I believe, are 45 days or something. 45 to 50 days, apparently. So, they're rough estimate. But,
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The Humboldt Seed Company, man, that's somebody who I would call like true breeders because they've worked lines in particular directions to get,
thousands.
Yeah, consistent expressions from them. So that's putting in the work, and it's cool when it shows because you could get that hella jelly, and other people get that hella jelly, and it's going to be very similar to each other, and it is awesome in any way you go.
Absolutely. I ran them two phenos before. I had a purple and a green one, and the green one kind of came out like a candy gases. But the was it the purple pheno? That one came out so blueberry that after the dry was done, yes, I smoked the joint up at the dry. But it was so blueberry, everything for the next 6 hours, coffee, food, didn't matter what it was. It all tasted, smoking a cigarette, all tasted like blueberries for 6 hours. After it cured is when the muffin cake, I said something to a friend, apparently. Apparently. But yeah, I said something to him, he called it blueberry waffle. That's what he thought it first time he smoked it. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Wow, yeah,
that's when I started believing in this terp thing. Is when I came across the muffin, blueberry muffin.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing when you have something like that is just so far removed from maybe what you've experienced. I remember because I started with bag seed, as a lot of people did, and then the first like breeder cut that I got, I was like, oh, okay, difference. There's a difference here. And I was happy with what I had before. That's fine, but that's what I knew. And then I got something different. I was like, well, I'm a little ruined, but okay. That's the benchmark going forward.
I'm a little ruined. Yeah, I didn't know. So I'm running 3 this time. I'm hoping I still at least get one more purple pheno because I didn't keep a clone of that purple blueberry muffin. And now I'm missing that herb.
Yeah, that's, I guess another SOP of mine is I always take clones, and I take two just in case one doesn't work. But that has also led to me having problems of having like too many plants, and what do I do now? Because no, it wasn't the one I wanted to keep. But we all have our own plant problems. Have you ever tried re-vegging?
Yes, I have. This was like 13 years ago, but yeah, I had an outdoor crop get shook down, and they left part of the plant behind. So I took that Bubba Kush, and it was already probably second going on the third week of flower, and it grew some funky. I mean, it wasn't in a full blown bud, but it was enough to have to go back to re-veg. But it had some wicked limbs and branches to re-veg. But I'll tell you, it was a spectacular plant when I got to run it the whole term.
I'm glad you saved it.
I have a question for Chad.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
Whoa. Welcome.
What's up, bro? Hey, is there a difference, Chad? Because I know you went to Amsterdam. Is there a difference in the weed over there versus here in the United States?
Yes, in the fact that their hazes and their white widows, I feel, are authentic, and there is like a flavor difference and a noticeable effect difference. But when it comes to like expressive flavors like a Runts or a Skittles or something, they have it on the menu, but I don't see flavor being the thing over there. Like we go there for the hazes and the widow, and that's
So the way they grow over there, is it different than the way we do things, or what do you think?
I think that they do a lot of like hydroponic growing over there. So a lot of it is nutrient fed, which is fine, but they're moving to actually like a regulated system. So because it's illegal to grow the cannabis until it enters the coffee shop, it's illegal. But once it crosses the door, then all of a sudden it's magically legal. So you still have to be like underground about your cannabis grows there. So yeah.
Isn't that weird? There's that gray area before you can actually try it out or disperse of it.
And I guess I should say too, because you make me think. I'm going off of Amsterdam, and Amsterdam is really about selling weed to tourists because they're there. So quality is some markets here. The quality doesn't have to be there. You'll buy it anyways. But there were a few cities outside of Amsterdam where my favorite two flower shops are outside of Amsterdam. So yeah.
So what about now? Did you get? I know that Europe is more in the beginning was more hash orientated. Is the hash better over there? Or did you experience any of that?
Yes, and the hash, in my opinion, which is that like squished up black tarry stuff. Yeah, I should have added that to the Haze and Widows because we really do go for the hash. It's better in that sense. They don't have concentrates like dabs or diamonds and sauces. They do not have that stuff, and the hash is like lower than the flower, which we love too. So it's cheaper. I guess there's just more of it.
So does that ever? I mean, the hash that I've ever bought, which was very rare in the States, never compared to what I got back in the 70s from Amsterdam or Europe.
No, not at all. I can only think of one vendor in Washington that does it, and they had a sample, and I was just like, yeah, okay. I mean, congratulations, you passed the like visual test, but you're right. There is something much different about the hash over there. It's probably the process because it's so much of an older practice there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the questions I had for Chad Westport. Good to see you up here, brother. And,
dude, Bingus.
Yeah. So
also, I did run the grape juice. It was a great strain, bushy Afghani, very resiny. I made some oil, and it was some of the strongest oil I've ever had
Wow.
from a plant. And the reason I made the oil primarily because it harvested so quickly, all right, that it kind of fell out of balance with all my other runs. And so I said, I'm just going to put this to oil, and I smoked some, but it turned out beautiful. So keep up the great work with that, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you for growing it, and you know my address box. So anytime you need something, just let me know. I got you.
Again, thanks, Doc, and Sindor. Good to see you, Harry Tugs.
Cheers.
Harry, good to see you.
That was donated by VK. So yeah, it's still Harry Nugs. Good seeing you, Bingus.
All right, guys.
Thanks
You
for
take
jumping
care.
on, man.
Cheers.
Good to see you.
So the number was 139. Chad picked the number. It was in the back chat. I just picked it. It was between 1 and 420. You said, am I wrong? I don't sucks the way you did it. Well, I didn't have no what you call it, so you were all out of order. Long story short, the next grow, can you just get me? How can they get in contact with you? Through your Instagram?
Can someone post a link for his Instagram, or I can?
Did somebody post the link for Chad in the chat?
Oh yeah. The West Instagram is chad.westport.
Yep.
So that's on Instagram, and then the YouTube is just Chad Westport. But whoever the winner of the Westport Posse,
the next grow.
Yeah,
the next grow. Okay.
Thanks for
The next
stopping
grow.
over.
Next grow, just hit me up on IG, and I will get them to you. And congratulations.
Oh, no problem, Super Bob. Appreciate you coming. You said you had a bad day and this made it better. I appreciate you. Thanks. I'm happy that it made the day.
Is that who got it?
I know a guy that actually grew it. Now I think it was could you imagine? I think crop grew the. I mean, not crop. ADHD, I think, grew the Chad. If not, he said he's growing the Chad. He's going to be popping it soon. So,
yep. I've sent him some stuff. He was a winner on the show before.
All right. Shit, Harry, you got your computer?
Yes, sir.
You want to pull up on your computer the giveaway thing?
The wheel?
Yeah.
Yep.
The wheel? Yep. Nah, go to
comment picker.
I always have to Google StreamYard giveaway tool.
StreamYard giveaway. And then it's gonna be like a hashtag, whatever, in the chat.
Yeah. I like that one. That simplified my life, because it's hard sometimes when you do trivia, or trivia more so than numbers. Numbers is hard because it goes by so fast, and then sometimes you have people that just go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, makes it hard. But trivia is even
that's
harder.
why while y'all was talking, I was on it. While you guys were talking, I was literally had my eyes stuck on the. And I said it was through 1 through 420.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, that's what we used to do anyways. We used to be calling out numbers and just to win some beans, and the closest one. I mean, the person that was that hit the number is the one that won. I mean, you couldn't do it twice. If you won one that night, you couldn't come back and win the same night again. 2 of them. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But if you entered, you won. Got it for the night. I mean, until next week or whatever it was for the giveaway. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that was a bad way. I didn't have no wheel. So Harry, if you could bring it up whenever, and then I can just pull you up on the back. CLTV said, "Hey, Mr. Westport."
Hey, oh yeah, what's shaking? Back from Vegas in one piece. I saw some of the video, and oh boy, I've never been to Vegas. That's probably why. It's a wild place, man.
No, he didn't win both. I got a giveaway to go to. No, he did not win both for me. We got one more.
I don't know if I can do that, Doc, unless I'm on my.
Yeah, Dr. T, we have to be on your thing to do it.
Yeah, you have to be on your stream.
I can't pull you from backstage
unless I.
No, that's from your thing, like
from your own StreamYard. Yes, you would have to.
Yeah.
So how I usually just like say I bring somebody up from backstage and they can show the screen and then you can just type in. Oh,
gotta go somewhere else.
It asks for my link. All it does is ask for my link and it'll just put it in. Ask for my link on my chat.
You can only do it if you are you. Like that's why Roots can do it. Because he has your stuff.
I know y'all gonna say is you could do the wheel though, can't you, Harry?
You should be able to.
Oh look, see, Harry got it backstage right there. Boom. Add Harry to the stage. And then he can go.
But you guys are gonna have to go slow and put emojis in the chat. Someone's gonna have to read them off because then I gotta type them into the wheel.
What, you talking about the names?
Yeah.
All right, 70 people in here. Ooh, shit. That's a lot of fucking. That's a lot of names. Hey, so you couldn't just go. You can't just go on the screen to StreamYard thing, like to that website?
No. No, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, you would have to do it yourself, Doctor. This way you can do it for
if you're the admin or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I guess I gotta do it. So what is it on? I don't want to see
like this one. It's called Wheel Up
StreamYard
wheelofnames.com, or you could do a random comment picker and link it to your StreamYard.
I got it. I just don't have it on the computer. StreamYard giveaway tool. Blah 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 blah. Giveaway tool.
We got everybody learning and working today.
Yeah, I know how to do it, bro. I want it to pop up on the screen. I don't want to hold the tablet up. So blah 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 blah.
Yeah, the reason Root can do it is because, yeah, exactly.
My live stream, boom, match text, Westport. I put Westport, a hashtag, hold on. Let me see. All right, start collecting comment. Yeah, I can go ahead. Let me see if I can blow myself up and show you guys. Hashtag Westport. Is it gonna stay up?
Oh, that's one way of doing it.
If the comments are going, the entries are going up. We're at 10, we're at 11, and my IG is blowing up.
So this is for yours, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna get I got something special for people, for anybody who enters on this one. $110% ill salt. All right, so
5 minutes till 420. Wherever Love Bug is.
Damn.
Get your bongs and papers ready, dabs ready.
lunch ready, pipes, bowls, all you smoky utensils. No, I did not check the mail today yet. You check, brother.
Here I am realizing I've been on mute for I don't know how long, but yes, 420 on the West Coast.
Oh, shit.
I will celebrate with you.
That all get you shit. It was 17.
Starting a little early, but I'll still be there for 420, okay?
Exactly.
Just
practicing. I want to nail it.
All right, so you guys see it, right? So I'm gonna call it exit solo. It's 36 entries. It's hashtag Westport. Hashtag Westport. There, look.
Come on,
says
guys.
right there. You guys can see it. It's
Like
hashtag
30.
Westport. It's 37 in there. 37 entries. It's 82 people.
And there's what, 80? Yep. Come on, people, get in there.
82, 38. And then we're gonna call it after the giveaway. Get a nice smoke on at 420. And again, I really do appreciate you, Chad, for coming through, hanging out, giving us info, so on and so forth. Giving us a little insight in behind who the man of the myth. Man, everybody get this. They all get to see you on everybody else's panel. Now they finally get to come up and get to see you. So, yeah,
well, man,
thank you very much.
I appreciate it. My pleasure, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate your time and the effort you put into this because this has been fun. I'm like, 2 hours flies by fast when you're having fun. Man.
It
So
really
it's a good conversation, great questions, and I like the vibe. So thank you. And it's cool having people pop up too on people from like chat if they want to hop in, ask a question. I dig that.
Yeah.
That does take a big set of balls though to put that link up there sometimes. But
sometimes I mean on a regular basis, I know majority of the people that usually hit the link, like Sindor, he usually up here with me on a nightly basis. Harry also. I know most of the people that was going to ask the decent questions. Some people just wanted to come up and say hi to Chad Westport. So, of course,
I did have one, but I forgot it, so that's why. and then I thought of a different one, and then somebody else had it right before me. So I was like, "Fuck."
I couldn't wait
I appreciate
to
everybody.
so that was great. It was just awesome.
All right,
but yeah,
so
I gotta say though, for you, like, I don't think I have ever seen or heard anybody say something bad about you out of any of the other people that we could have on here. Like, no one, and I mean no one, has anything bad to say about you. And that just says a lot
to everybody.
about the kind of person you are. Like, it's awesome, man. Like, yeah.
Thank you, dude, and thank you, to everybody. Really, I don't know, like that's, yeah. I'm a big fan of like the language that you use, the language that you choose, and it's easy to be negative. It's not as easy to be positive and like random, like, and this is like Eagle Gardens. Something he always says is like random acts of kindness can and will change life. So my wife embarrasses me all the time. She is that person. We're walking down the street, she'd be like, nice hair, nice shoes, nice purse, and every time it gets a smile. I mean, like, I'm like the not attention guy, but
yeah,
and let's just spread love. Let's just try to spread positivity, and if you can't, try to come up with a solution. So thank you, and I guess it's working. Maybe I try to be
Yeah.
happy. I can be a dick too. I'm not
And
above
Dr.
it.
It takes some balls to ask Chad Westport over here to come on your show too. And the only one not to even hesitate was this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he didn't hesitate, and I told you guys when they gave me and I asked the community, I asked actually people in the chat, who should I interview next, and majority of they gave me a couple of names, and I went out and I messaged everybody. So, and you came back, and I mean, and the people actually voted for you. Hey, how you doing? Medically fit. To your real one. I'm not scared. I'm not scared to go to anybody and ask nobody. I'm not that type of person to be back down. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm gonna go try to make it happen.
Yes,
So
that's the thing. I wish my parents told me not to be a doctor when I was growing up. I'd be a doctor.
Right? They should have said I should have been a pot grower. No, I would have turned into a lawyer. Damn it.
So,
yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No, I got a bunch of beans here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my wife pick out randomly out the pack because she doesn't know anything out of my bag. She doesn't know anything about strains, and the winner of this is gonna get that plus some other knickknacks and blunts and pre-rolls and shit for me. So I have a lot of strains. I just don't know what to pick out to give away. So to you guys, all 52 of you out there, I'm about to got all your entries in. It's hashtag Westport last chance 720.
Let's get
quarter
that.
pack.
The giveaways when you're doing it yourself, I did it on IG for the first time the other day. It gets your heart pumping. You get the crowd.
Yes,
raised.
it does.
You get 39 people in your live, and you're like, "Fuck yeah!"
Then you're like, "This is hard to keep track of."
Yeah,
What the fuck
I'm
did I
like
do?
trying to type in names. I'm like, when I seen 80 in the chat, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a minute.
All right. So, and I give y'all guys what? Yeah, I got 20 seconds. It doesn't the hashtag Westport, all lowercase, yes. 10 seconds. Viking is killing you. Yeah,
Oh
hey,
God,
listen. Viking
what does he say?
Don't watch
hilarious.
chat. Don't watch
He's
chat.
hilarious.
Chad, don't watch chat.
I don't even look his way. OGC, what's up, John?
Organic Growth Channel, what's up, John? Main, like
Main growers, all what's up, Mike D, everybody in the chat. I really do appreciate all of you guys. Y'all know it. Maybe later on we have an after party. Y'all let me know. If y'all want to have an after party where we can go chill and hang out again, just talk for a little bit. All right. Love Bug, Viking King, Starhand, everybody. All right, so them 20 seconds has been over 20 seconds ago.
Let's spin that wheel.
I'm gonna hit the draw button. Look, I'm gonna hit the draw button for everybody to see. I am not cheating anybody. I just don't have the computer to put it up on the screen. So
It's all rigged.
we're gonna do
Let's
it
do
like
it.
this.
Hey, look at that. We got 57. Looks like 67. Oh,
In the wheel. Here we
come
go.
on.
Good luck, everybody.
Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
Who's it?
Daryl Roch. Daryl Roch.
Congratulations.
Are you there, Daryl? Daryl,
Congratulations.
you have to be here. You got to be in it to win it. Got to be in it to win it. I want to see.
Zip says Levels Fluff and Grow show will be starting soon.
Okay, yeah. There you go. Congrats. Look at Sindor. Sindor is showing
Ooh. Hey now.
There you go.
Hey now.
Where's Daryl? Is Daryl in the chat? Anybody see Daryl?
That's nice. Chunky buds. I like that.
I did.
That makes me how can you not like be happy and smile when you open a tent and see that? You're just
Right?
like, yeah, things are good. Tomorrow's gonna be okay. That's nice.
Oh, that looks real good. Okay, great for sure. Waiting for Daryl. Daryl, you won.
It's gonna be hard
Please.
with a laptop, but
I'm watching. Y'all guys know me. Go ahead. That's the purple frost giant from the Welcome to the Grow Tank, correct?
No, this one is.
Oh, okay.
So this one and this one are both that. And then this one and that one are different.
All right. There is no Daryl Rosh in the chat, so we got 57 others. So I'm gonna draw again. Oh man, probably asleep. I'm still trying to give him. Still trying to give him some time. Probably hear his name.
It's a long bathroom break.
You know, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to be here today. Did you get here in time? I know. I don't want to do it. On to the next one. He went pee. All right, I'm gonna give him a couple more seconds. That's a long pee.
Well, we'll take
if
the
you're playing with it, if you're
plant
playing with it
born.
longer, if you should do more than 2 shakes, you're playing with it. Okay, come on. All right, so I'll be Daryl today. Oh shit! Now y'all want to go ahead and change the agenda. All right, that looks good. Sendor, that really does look good. All right, so don't worry, I'm gonna spin it again. I'm gonna spin it again. Y'all hit that like. If don't forget, y'all hit that like. My other brother, Daryl.
Have I just been missing out on the coat hanger revolution? I mean, my light is actually as wide as my tent, so I don't have the problem anymore. But I remember when I did have it.
So mine is the same. It's as big as the tent, but it's still I still need it.
Still get it down.
Oh, there's the coat hangers. There's the coat hangers. He wasn't lying. You see it.
I feel like I've been sleeping. I feel like I've been sleeping on this now. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah,
just now, just like seeing this.
Here's a problem though. In here, you won't see it as well right now, but you'll get a lot of light leaks.
Light leaks. Yeah, he gets a lot. You get a lot of light leaks from stretching the fabric on the tent.
Okay.
So you get it between here and right through right here as well. You know where this is. Shit. Sorry.
Family want to show his tent. He want to show his grill. He does DWC.
Nice. And see, this is another awesome way to do it. Just build your frame around.
Oh yeah.
Put your scrognet, and then you'll never have to suck in either. So that's another awesome. Even if you don't use the frame, even if you don't use the frame, sometimes it's still awesome to have it. But dang, that's a
family. You're on mute.
Family, you muted. I think he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I think so.
Could ever slide it up and down. Yeah.
Okay. Organic Grow Channel. John, how we doing?
What's up, man?
Nice.
Main grower.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. See, this I've not done this style with cannabis before.
Pollen roots on the bottom.
So you need oxygen stones with that water drip because it's creating its own oxygen, right?
How you doing, MedFit? It looks good. Nice training on those plants. Canopy ain't crazy. Yeah, I like it. They're praying. They look happy. They're green. They look good.
Praying.
Yeah, this is the just pop up. You wanted to come up, bro. I told you this is the part of the show was just come up, pop up at the end of the show. The interview part was over. If anybody wanted to come up, show their grow, or have any questions for Medically Fit, I mean, medically fit for Chad Westport. I just seen his name pop up. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Chad Westport. Yeah, so sorry about that. Who's this? VPD.
No worries.
VPD. He wanted to ask you questions. Now, VPD is a good friend of mine from Canada, and he wanted to ask you a question. So,
Come up, D.
VPD.
Yeah. Where is he?
He's coming. I'm getting him up on the panel.
Come on, D.
All right, and I'm gonna be doing the draw again as soon as I get him up here, so you guys can see why I'm high.
Hey, Chad.
Oh, he
Hey,
still
what's
hasn't
up?
come up?
Hey, Johnny
Yeah,
boy.
he should.
Hey, Chad.
Man.
I'm glad to see that you graduated to Grows Bushes, VPD.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
see,
yeah.
okay,
Go ahead.
I'm the last guy at the party to know this, right? Like, come on.
Go ahead and tag.
So I guess the question was, what's your one thing for the new grower?
Oh, turn my questions on me, damn
Right?
Yeah.
that's a good question.
You
Thank
know?
you.
Thank you.
God.
next Saturday.
Yeah, no. That's
Stump
that is
them.
one thing that I see too. It's funny when I ask people, because I get the same answer. It's like, man, I could talk about 10 things for 2 hours, but you asked me to talk about one thing for 5 minutes? What the hell?
Got him.
Oh God! Again, maybe like if I had to do one thing. Oh God, there's so many one things. I said it before, but just getting to harvest. No matter how you get there, that's a victory.
Is there a
it's
time
victory
limit
if you
on
make it.
getting to harvest?
No. I mean,
Really?
I've seen
Really?
Well, I've seen all kinds of things. I've had people send me pictures of a plant that's probably like 2 or 3 weeks into flower, asking how do they start the flowering on it, which just goes to the point of like not everybody immerses themselves in education. So yeah, you can do. I don't know where I was going with that one. There we go.
OGC, you have any questions for Chad Westport? I know you've been around for a while.
Nah, I've heard of him. I never got to meet him, but nice to meet you, Chad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
I'm from Oklahoma, you know, and I just grow all natural.
Right on. I'm not like rooting for it to happen in Oklahoma, but because it's inevitable that a tornado will hit a pot farm, like I am waiting for the Weednado like news
It already
broadcast.
happened.
Really?
Happened, yeah.
I missed it because I would love to see. And there were pot plants flying everywhere, and little Martha got a hold of it. Like Weednado. Wow.
That looks good, Harry.
Thank you.
Harry, what cultivar is that, Harry? I'm getting to you, Austin.
Cheers. Look at that.
Looking nice.
Yep, wow. Right on.
1
Nice,
2x4.
Brandon.
Yep.
Week 4 or week 5 of flower. Just turned week 5.
Nice.
Okay,
My
looks real
key
nice.
is 10 broke, so it took a little bit.
So that's a perfect example of scrog versus sea of green. Like you would need dozens of plants to get the same yield.
Yep, and that's
that you get
only
from that
8
one.
weeks. 8 weeks edge.
Yeah.
From clone.
Very nice work.
Looks good.
Very nice.
Thank you, Harry. And they go, and here's from on the other side of the world.
Wow.
That corn.
How you doing, Dad? You got to come off the
G'day,
mic.
Chad.
You
How you
gotta-
going, cunt?
Hey.
How you, mate? There you go. Now, here you go. What do you reckon? Should I harvest these bastards or what?
No, let it go. Let it go. Those are freaking. Do the first ones? Did they have any chem in them? Or Chem Dog, or what are you growing there?
No, these are copycat caffeine.
Okay.
Copycat caffeine sativa. They just got the red hairs. Only reason, what happened to me, I end up getting it anyway. I end up a bit of I spotted some, a little bit of speckling on some of the leaves and spotted the spider mite, early days. So I done the old garden hose spray technique underneath the leaves, removed the infected ones and threw them in my cold room for 2 days on about 20 degrees, made it nice and cold. And now that I pulled them out, there's no fucking spider mite, nothing left. But I was going to harvest them, just how you get once you get a bit of that spider mite, mate. That's the other ones there. That one.
They were promising.
Oh,
nice.
Well, mate, they're only in fucking 2.5 gallon pots. So they
That's
done
the
real
way.
well in soiled,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with the size of the plant and the yield and that I'm looking at, compared to growing in a bigger pot and that.
Right.
Yeah. Hard to
But
beat the
anyhow,
sunlight.
Yeah, I've had them inside, mate. I've just got them out of the tent and that. Yeah, they look like shit. 2 days, no light, All right, I'm not going to hog your time. Nice meeting you. Cheers for coming up and having a chat to all us mob, eh? Appreciate it.
Have an awesome day, Ozzy Ken.
You too, Chad. Catch you later, mate.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Awesome,
you.
man.
All right, so we're gonna get back to this
Des.
giveaway. We're gonna get back to this giveaway. Yes, shout out to Des. All right, so here we go. I'm about to. It says draw again up here in the corner. I'm gonna click it. Boom. Let's see.
You can give me the win. It's okay.
Michael S. What's Michael S? Better, you got to be in it to win
Hey,
it.
that's Galaxy's son.
Oh, is it?
Congratulations.
Yeah. That's
Hell
Galaxy's
yeah.
son.
Fucking right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations.
Not being mean or
Going to New
anything,
York.
for real. Michael S. is Galaxy Solution son. We have multi-generation growers. I love it. And hanging
Yeah.
out.
Camera's fixed.
I didn't realize.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
That's what it
Love
is.
it.
Awesome. Congratulations to Michael S. I'm gonna put.
There he is. He won. Look how fast. No washroom breaks for the win.
He's on here.
You hit me up on IG. My IG scrolling across the bottom. You can hit me on IG.
No, it's
Doctor.
No,
I saw Chad sit down with the plant.
I did. My camera's like fixed, so I can't really bring it over there. So I'm like, well, I could bring one to you. This is it's a greenhouse, so greenhouse cheese. I'm starting to hunt a few different cheeses, and this it has no training on it at all. It's really tight outlet facing,
That's tight.
and the
Sweet.
lower branches are growing up to the top.
All
And
the
this
way
is
up.
like absolutely what I look for in plants.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
this
Oh
will be
my
getting
God.
cloned soon. But yeah, that's a nice short. I mean, shit, if I had a tape measure, it's not that big. But look at all the potential that it has already. So,
So is this one that you made?
Nope, this is from Greenhouse Seeds in Amsterdam.
okay.
This is one of their cheese I've tried, because cheese is, it's a derivative of skunk #1, but kind of the UK areas made it really popular, and I figured they would have the closest seed form to it. So I'm trying a bunch of different cheeses from companies over there that I know and trust. And yeah, this is one of them. But this greenhouse cheese, man, I'm impressed with it. Again, that shape is exactly what I look for. The morphology. Hopefully
half of the people of us would love that right now.
Chad. Yeah.
Like everyone around here, that's what we're looking for as well. So
yeah, I'm on a cheese hunt, man.
Have you heard of the Grape Ape crew over there?
I know the strain, but not of a like crew.
Yeah, it's the Grape Ape Crew. They sent me from Amsterdam. They sent me some what was that? Amnesia Haze, the 2014 winner over there.
There you go. That's See, that's the place where to get the haze. The Amnesia Haze is definitely one we look for when we go to Amsterdam.
Yeah, because you was talking about that, and that was the question if you'd ever heard of them, and they were called the Grape Ape Crew. Yeah.
Okay. I know a few people I could ask, and they'll probably be like, "Yeah, maybe so. I know them. I know them."
Yes. I've got one growing right now. Let me run out there and I'll jump on and show you real quick. It's kind
Grape
of
apes,
like
yeah. I do like a grape ape. Grape ape I grew many years ago, but it's good.
John,
that plant has nice tight node spacing. I like the structure of that plant, Chad.
Thank you, because it's like I'm trying to breed a lot for the home growers or the tent growers, the medical growers, and I've grown some, awesome plants, but they were too stretchy or they grew too tall or they just outpaced everything else. And as much as I enjoy them, that's not my direction. So when I see stuff like that, I get excited. That's no training. Again, that's just doing its thing. So it is shorter than everything else, though, so it'll probably have to sit on top of another container for flowering. But this is my first time growing it from seed, so I didn't know what to expect.
And it's awesome that you just said that, because there's like maybe 5 or more people right now around that's always around here. That are trying to do them as small as they can in order to get as many times you can get done, right? Sorry. Sometimes I can't say things. So.
You're good. I think I know what you're talking about. Like short cycles, shorter plants, like you could keep them on shorter times and you could get more harvest per year.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
because they're trying to do it so that you're doing more than just you're only doing this much, like normally, right? But they want to do it so that you have more on top, so that you can do like that.
You're talking about like tier growing
yes,
at different levels.
Yes.
Yep.
Even at home here, just like us.
Yep.
So that's what they're trying to figure out.
I like that industry, because that's one that comes from the vertical farming, comes from agriculture, and that was a big prospect maybe a decade ago. A lot of people built these high-tech facilities and discovered some of the problems with that. Like it's one of the biggest problems, like going full term with plants, is you're creating different microclimates that you have to manage all in one space. Because as you stack up, that light in the middle is going to create kind of a hot spot there in the middle underneath that root zone. So you need to cool the root zone, but then the air above it. So it's kind of microclimates is what is causing problems with that. But for cloning and early veg or seedlings, I've totally done that before, because that's, absolutely, you could get away with it. You don't need a bunch of space. Extra humidity is good. So the vertical type farming I like for very early on. People who are trying to go full cycle with it just as a system tend to run into problems of microclimates, and then you have to manage it, which turns out to be expensive sometimes.
Right. Okay. It's good to know about that. Yeah.
I love experimenting, though. Again, don't ever let somebody say don't do something. That should make you want to do it, just to find out for yourself.
Yep.
I agree, but I also got to say that if you're still only trying to figure it out right, you shouldn't be trying to do other things that until you figure it out first, right? Like, so.
That could have easily been my answer to the just one thing question from VPD. Is like that's an excellent point, and that is something that's so important. Is like, don't change a whole bunch of things at once. Again, I talked about patience. You have to be patient. This plant will teach you patience. You have to write it out, because if you do change a whole bunch of things at once and then something works, what of the 10 things you did was it that made it work? You'll never know.
Right.
So yeah, good point. Very good point there.
Thank you. Shit. What I was about to say, I was reading something. Yeah, Michael S. If all you have to do is hit me up on Instagram, hit me in the DM, give me your information. I have your packages out. What today is? Thursday. I'll try to have them out tomorrow, if not Saturday. Thank you so much. You guys in the chat is freaking hilarious. I know you guys are just playing with each other, going back and forth.
I haven't paid attention for a second.
Yeah, I haven't either. But as I was doing their funniest shit, they blew you about the text when you talking to me. Anyways,
yeah, sorry about my reception out there.
That's all right.
I couldn't.
Nah,
bro,
you good, bro.
Ooh, the mustache going on. Sin's
out
on
here
it.
in the
You looked really good, man.
Hey,
I'm
OGC,
feeling
I
a lot
tried to put
better.
you from backstage.
I had to do
Yeah,
two kilos last week, but after that I should be good.
Right.
Well, cool.
I
Thanks
started
for
my winter facial hair. I can be on panel.
Thanks for sharing. Well, I think I'm gonna get going here, guys.
Yep. Yes, I was just about to say thank you so much for coming out. Shout out to everybody in the chat for coming out. Chad Westport.
Thanks, Chad.
Great interview. I really do appreciate you. OGC, VPD, Harry, Sindor, everybody in the chat, everybody that came out. I really do appreciate you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to do another one of these coming up before the New Year's. Thank you again, Chad. It's great getting to know you tonight. Again, I appreciate you.
My pleasure, guys. You guys have a good time, and hope to see you all or talk to you all again soon.
Later. You too. You have a great one. I catch you
Have
on
a
the
good one.
stream. All right.
Chad, see you soon. Night, everyone.
Good night.